I sat in my chair, eyes closed, absorbing the cultivation techniques that had just landed in my head. The myriad fusion heart method, no elemental attribute. The upside, I could switch to any higher tier technique at any time. The downside, cultivation was painfully slow. There were no realms or stages to break through, just the endless expansion of my Dantian and the steady accumulation of mana. Then there was the beast taming art. You channel mana to form a spiritual contract, then drive it into the target creature's mind. From that moment on, you're of one heart and mind. The contracted beast is 100% loyal, its life and death resting on a single thought of yours. Even better, you can share its lifespan. But the drawback was brutal. Once you shared lifespans, if the contracted beast died, you'd lose half your own remaining years. I thought it over. So you could play it like this? If I contracted a turtle, wouldn't I get centuries, maybe even a millennium of life? But then the downside made my head hurt. Once you share lifespans, your body's own lifespan stops burning down, which is exactly why losing the beast costs you half your years. Unless I found a way to replenish my lifespan, I could only share it twice at most. Unless I bonded to something immortal, sooner or later it would die. I shook my head. Why overthink it? I didn't have a single wisp of mana yet. First things first, cultivate. The good news was that the beast taming art had no cap on numbers. As long as I had enough mana, I could keep making contracts. But the stronger the target, the harder it was to succeed. Either you had to overwhelm it in power or catch it in a weakened state. I ran through the techniques one more time, went out to tell the butler not to let anyone disturb me, and headed back to the bedroom. I'd thought about cultivating in the farm space, where absolutely no one could bother me, but then I remembered the technique required drawing in ambient energy, and I had no idea whether the farm had any. In the end, I decided to try it outside. I sat cross-legged on the bed and started cultivating according to the manual. My mind was a mess of stray thoughts. I couldn't settle into meditation for the life of me. I opened my eyes, took out a stick of clarity incense, lit it, and sat back down. This time was completely different. My focus locked in like never before. I don't know how much time passed before I felt a strange energy enter my body and get drawn down into my Dantian. Boom. A muffled thunderclap went off inside me. My Dantian split open like a new world being born, that thin thread of energy carving out a space about an acre wide, empty and vast, with a single strand of energy, thin as a hair, floating in the middle. A smile broke across my face. This was the first step of cultivation, drawing in that first wisp of energy to open the Dantian. And the size of the Dantian determined your talent. 3 inches was average. 6 inches was top tier. 9.9 inches was a prodigy of the age. Mine had opened up to a full acre. If word of this ever reached the cultivation world, every major power would be shaken to its core. "Hey Fu, how long have I been in here?" The butler's voice came from outside the window. "Boss, you've been in there for 3 days and 3 nights. Damn, felt like I just sat down. 3 days already." I climbed off the bed and stretched. The more I thought about it, the more speechless I became. With talent this high, 3 whole days for a single wisp? I couldn't even contract a bird with that. When was I ever going to actually use this ability? If I had to sit in meditation every single day, what was the point of living? The excitement from opening up such a massive Dantian evaporated on the spot. According to the manual, prodigies could draw in their first wisp within an hour, and even mediocre talents took only 2 or 3 days. My speed didn't even compare. I don't believe it. With a flick of thought, I entered the farm space, lit the clarity incense, and kept cultivating. 1 hour, 2 hours. I gave up and dragged myself into the shower. Just as I suspected, no energy in the farm. This system prize really was a piece of junk. After the shower, I threw on some fresh clothes and headed back out to the room. I tried to console myself. Forget it, just pretend I didn't win anything. Maybe the system would come through later with some pills or spirit stones. I grabbed some food, sat down, and mentally hit the daily check-in. Ding, check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you've received 1 serving of cream pastries, mana times 1 wisp. My eyes lit up instantly. Holy crap, the system does deliver. A stream of pure mana surged into my Dantian. 100 wisps made 1 strand. Even cultivating around the clock without sleep, I'd need close to a year to reach that. I wolfed down breakfast, sent my consciousness into the farm, and grabbed a sparrow. The little bird had no clue how it suddenly ended up in a human's hand and started chirping frantically in terror. Relax, just cooperate. This'll be quick. I formed a hand seal, channeled my mana, and rapidly drew a complex rune in the air, driving it straight into the sparrow's head. Chirp. The sparrow let out 1 squeak, its head drooped, and it passed out. I felt my mana instantly bottom out and groaned. 1 tiny sparrow burned through that much mana? What about anything bigger? Master, master, the bird's excited voice popped into my head, automatically translated into human speech. Our minds were linked. At my current strength, we could communicate telepathically within a 5-kilometer radius. Beyond that, no signal. As my power grew, so would the range. From now on, your name is Bird One. Your job is to recruit others of your kind out there and scout intel for me when I need it. Yes, master. I have tons of friends. Can I bring them all over? Your friends are in another world. You go get used to this one first. Bird One flew out the window. Whoa, the outside world really is bigger. Air's not as good as before, though. I gave it a warning. Don't contact me unless it's important, or I'll turn you into soup. Bird One shut up immediately, terrified, and flapped off into the distance. I wasn't counting on it to accomplish anything big, just testing how this worked. A little bird head-shaped light that appeared in my sea of consciousness. That was the mark left by the contract. Any future contracts would leave a beast head light dot too, and the dot would vanish the moment the creature died. I thought back to that white fox worshipping the moon in the mountains, and the massive snake in the cave on Wasteland Mountain. Something that big might have already gained spiritual awareness, and it'd probably live a very long time. If I could contract one of them, no telling how much mana that would take. My mana was tapped out again. I sat down cross-legged, curious how long recovery would take. The minutes ticked by. My phone's ringtone snapped me out of it. One glance. I'd only recovered a single wisp. Speechless. It was already past 1 in the afternoon on my watch. I picked up. What's up? Zhengji, Manager Qian is pissed off in her office. You want to come talk her down? Hearing this from Cuizhu, I laughed. What's she mad about? Some guy who's been chasing after her ticked her off. All right, I'm on my way. I hung up, said a quick goodbye to the butler, activated Shadow Shift, and vanished from the house. I'd figure out the mana situation later. In the manager's office at Yuebin Restaurant, Qianling wore a look of pure disgust. What a leech. She called out toward the door, shouts away. The door opened, and I walked in. The moment Qianling saw it was me, she crossed her arms over her chest. So you finally decided to show up. I locked the door and walked over. Hey, you look gorgeous even when you're mad. You're really not leaving other women a chance. Uffed. She rolled her eyes at me. I'll talk. You spend every day with that Ice Queen and don't even bother with me. I laughed and pulled her into my arms. Well, I'm here now, aren't I? Want me to show up and settle the score for you? You wish. She kissed me. That creep grossed me out again today. The more I ignore him, the more he shows up. I sat her down on my lap. Want me to teach him a lesson? Qianling quickly shook her head. Don't do anything reckless. The Yun family is powerful. If he holds a grudge against you, you'll have your hands full. Fine. Since you're asking, I'll let him off. Puffed. She covered her mouth, unable to stop laughing. You really are as shameless as ever. I pinched her. How dare you laugh at me? I'm going to eat you up today. I went right in for a kiss. She kissed me back passionately, then pushed me away. No, we can't. I'll get you in trouble. Let's find another chance. Then let me just have a little taste. I lowered my head and got to work. Cuizhu stood on the second-floor hallway, watching outside. Afterward, Qianling panted softly. You're terrible. Didn't you say you'd only do it on the outside? I put on an innocent face. You have no idea how irresistible you are. I couldn't hold back. Yeah, right. Believe your lies. She pinched my waist and nestled into my arms. You have to come see me often from now on. Don't just listen to that Ice Queen. Okay, once a week. How's that? She gave me a peck on the chest. That's more like it. Honestly, I was head over heels for this stunning beauty too. And like Lung Yuaning, she was a first-timer. No dirty thoughts allowed. She nuzzled into my chest. Heh, no thoughts. Only thinking of you. She reluctantly got up. Let's clean up and get out of here. It'd be a mess if someone caught us. I wanted another round, but the restaurant really wasn't the place. Once we'd both cleaned up, I helped her outside and sat her down. Have some water and rest. I'll go tidy up in there. This is all your fault. I pinched her cheek and headed back into the break room. With a thought, I switched out the air, sent the sheets and blankets into the farm to be washed, then remade the bed. Back in the office, I pulled out a bottle of perfume and handed it to her. For you. Qianling took it with delight and gave it a sniff. My favorite, rose. I lit a cigarette and sat down. Tell me about this Zhou family. They're an old guard family in the capital with centuries of legacy. They've even got branches overseas. The top brass takes them very seriously. I see. Your family isn't exactly a slouch either, is it? Don't tell me they'd actually agree to this. She shook her head. Even if they agreed, they wouldn't force me. At our level, marriage alliances aren't necessary anymore. In fact, that kind of alliance would do the family more harm than good. That, I understood. When a family is already powerful, marrying into another powerful family only makes those at the top nervous. Outshine the ruler, and your downfall isn't far behind. In that case, just ignore him. Come to me if anything happens. I pinched her cheek. Don't underestimate me. Qianling smiled sweetly. You're my man anyway. If anyone bullies me, I'll come to you. Glad you get it. Suddenly, she looked bashful. Is there nothing you want to ask me? There is. I just thought you might not want to talk about it. Actually, it's not just me. The Ice Queen too. I feigned surprise. You too are. But inside, I was over the moon. Her face flushed. Truth is, she and I were best friends as kids, all the way until later. She trailed off. Never mind. Forget it. Anyway, from now on, you're the only man I'll have. Since neither of them wanted to talk about it, I didn't push. I already had my guesses. Picturing that steamy scene, I actually got a little excited, though I kept a straight face. All right, we won't talk about it. As long as you're mine from now on. Inside, I was scheming. I'd get the two of them together someday. It'd be out of this world. Knock, knock, knock. Qianling put her smile away. Come in. Cui Zhu pushed the door open, closed it behind her. Manager, he's gone. All right, you can go. Qianling looked at me. I'm thinking of buying the lot behind us. What do you think? You want to add lodging? Yeah. Business is booming, and there's plenty of space out back. I took a sip of tea. I think you'd be better off opening more branches. That area behind us is going to develop into a messy patch. What looks cutting edge now might be obsolete before long. Rather than waste the money, why not wait a bit? She thought about it. Okay, I'll listen to you. I stayed until evening before leaving, and used my powers to slip home unnoticed. If Lung Yuning found out, she probably wouldn't let me touch her for days. I woke up and stretched. Sensing my Dantian, there was still just that thin strand of mana. Helpless. Check in. Ding. Check in successful. Congratulations, host, you've obtained ice soda times 10 bottles, mana times 1 wisp. A stream of pure energy poured in. What I'd used up yesterday was instantly restored, plus 1 extra wisp. So that's how it is. I got it now. The spiritual energy in this world was too thin. No matter how high my talent was, my cultivation speed couldn't be sped up. Then I thought about that white fox. On the night of the full moon, it worshipped the moon and absorbed moonlight. Wasn't that also a form of energy? I was pretty sure it was. Maybe it was precisely because this world had no energy for them to absorb that they had to cultivate this way. I grabbed another sparrow from the farm and cast the beast taming technique like yesterday. Another little bird head light appeared in my sea of consciousness. Master, master. From now on, your name is Bird 2. Get out there, make some friends, and gather intel for me. After releasing Bird 2, I checked my Dantian, still 1 wisp of mana left. I didn't make another contract. Instead, I headed to the farm to wash up and eat. Watching the crows in the woods, I mulled over how much mana it'd take to contract one. Crows were definitely smarter than sparrows. I'll give it a shot in a few days. The steward was sweeping the yard. Boss. I nodded, wheeled out my bike, and headed out. The mailman was making his rounds. When he saw me, he called out, "Perfect timing. Got a letter for you." I took it and glanced at it. It was stamped by the Heilongjiang Archaeological Bureau. Thanks for the trouble. I didn't open it right away, just tucked it into my pocket and biked to work. I greeted people all the way there. Someone told me. Director Qin, the chief, took Lu Lan out. I knew they'd gone to inspect the newly purchased guest house. I nodded and headed to my office. I brewed a cup of tea and opened the letter. Lu Wenyuan was coming to the capital for a meeting at the end of the year, and he'd stop by to see me. When he comes, I'll have to give him a proper welcome. The only reason I'd been able to come back early was because of that recommendation letter of his. Before I knew it, monthly check-in day rolled around. After finishing my meal at the farm, I headed back to my room and mentally hit the check-in button. Ding, monthly check-in successful. Congratulations, host. On receiving, farm space area doubled, spirit detector times 1, mana times 10 wisps. The farm space shook violently, and its area visibly expanded before my eyes. The plains, the forests, the ocean, the whole thing doubled in size. I closed my eyes and sensed the energy in my Dantian. Not bad. Nearly 40 wisps of mana from a single monthly check-in. That's several hundred wisps a year, which is nothing to sneeze at. Once I saved up enough, I'd probably even be able to form a contract with a tiger. Right now, I've only contracted 10 sparrows and 1 crow. The crow's their leader, and I've marked out territory for them. These little birds may be weak, but they're the most inconspicuous. From now on, they'll be my eyes. I sent my consciousness into the farm to take a look. The area had doubled to over 2,000 mu, more than a square kilometer. It used to feel cramped, but now there was plenty of room. As I reassigned territories to the animals, I got feedback in my head. With this farm upgrade, my perception and collection range had grown by another meter. Now, anything within 2 meters of me could be collected with a single thought. Though for living creatures, I still had to wait until they stopped resisting. Finally, I turned my attention to this spirit detector I'd gotten from the check-in, a palm-sized metal gadget. The moment I pulled it out, an instruction manual popped into my head. It could detect unusual energy fluctuations within a 1-kilometer radius. It clicked immediately. Before, the system could only detect energy once I had the object in hand. With this thing, I could pick up on stuff ahead of time. Whenever an energy source appeared, The screen would display the distance and direction, and a red light would flash. Great tool, no doubt, but not exactly convenient to lug around everywhere. I'd been mulling over opening some kind of shop, and now I had my target. The last two energy sources I'd absorbed were both connected to antique jade, so I'd open a shop on Antique Street. Just set the detector inside, and any treasure that passed by, I'd catch it. I grabbed my bag, hopped on my bike, and rode straight to Antique Street. Once there, I put the detector in my bag and walked around a lap, letting it scan. Nothing. I parked my bike outside the Sifong Tea House and headed up to the second floor. The usual. You got it. One moment, please. I watched the pedestrians on the street below. The waiter brought over tea and snacks, took the money, and headed back down. I poured myself a cup of tea and took a sip. Just then, Lu San came strolling down the street, rolling a string of beads in his hand. The second he spotted me sitting on the second floor, his eyes lit up and he hustled right up. Master Chin, long time no see. I smiled and nodded. Have a seat. Join me for a cup. Wouldn't dream of refusing. He plopped down cheerfully. Master Chin, everybody's been talking about heading down south lately. What's your take? I sipped my tea. Opportunity and risk go hand in hand. He mulled that over for a second, then cupped his hands. Well put. As always, Master Chin. Some folks are bringing stuff back from down there and making several times their money. Others have lost their shirts. I looked at him, and something clicked. This guy hung around the street every day. He'd be a perfect fit to take under my wing, and I was going to need a shopkeeper anyway. With a single thought, I activated divine ability, enslavement. Feedback registered instantly, success. Then I communicated with the system. Generate a 2-story, 300 square meter shop on this street. Ding. Please name the shop, host. I thought for a moment. Call it Tingjung Pavilion. A mighty force swept through, and a shop with classical charm materialized out of thin air at the mouth of the street, right in the best spot on the whole block. The plaque above the door bore the 3 characters, Tingjung Pavilion, in bold, commanding strokes, clearly the work of a master. An image of the shop floated into my mind. 2 floors, 180 square meters downstairs, 120 upstairs, all the furniture and layout perfectly arranged. The first floor was for business, the second floor was my private space. The system really thought of everything. Everyone who'd ever set foot on this street automatically had memories of this shop inserted into their heads, and even the local government office had records and paperwork on file. I said to Lu San, "Come with me, I want to show you something." He didn't ask a single question, just followed along. At the corner, I pulled out a key and unlocked the door. People on the street looked over, curious. That shop hasn't opened in years. Is somebody finally moving in? Who knows? San even went in with him. Maybe the owner's selling. Inside on the first floor, everything was in place. Counter, tea table, display shelves, and a pleasant fragrance drifted through the air. Lu San leaned in close to inspect the furniture and nearly lost his mind. Holy cow, Master Chin. This is all small leaf red sandalwood. I smiled. It's nothing. Behind that were a bedroom and bathroom, meant for whoever tended the shop. Upstairs was mostly open floor plan, with furniture and bookshelves laid out thoughtfully. Paintings and calligraphy hung on the walls, clearly masterworks, though none were signed. One side had been partitioned off into a bedroom and small kitchen. Lu San gawked at the artwork in awe. Master's work, no question. Shame there's no signature. Master Chin, only someone like you deserves pieces like these. I asked casually, how much you pull in a year doing your thing? He answered respectfully, just scraping by. Good years, 300 or 400. Bad years, nothing at all. How about you come work here as my shopkeeper? 1,000 a year. Thank you, Master Chin. He was over the moon. This location's incredible. What are we going to sell? I pulled out the spirit detector and showed him how to use it. From now on, keep an eye on this thing. The second it reacts, find a way to buy whatever set it off. He looked over the device. Master Chin, just waiting around like this is too slow. Why not deal in antiques too? More foot traffic means better odds of running into what you're after. I waved him off. Run that kind of shop, and you don't think the authorities are going to come sniffing around? Truth was, I had a business license from the system. Use it, and no restriction could touch me. But burning it on this seemed like a waste. I wasn't really selling antiques, just hunting for things with energy in them. Lu San smacked his forehead. Ah, silly me. I get it, Master Chin. We quietly let word spread, don't stock any pieces, buy when something turns up, and pass when it doesn't. He thought about it a bit more, then cupped his hands again. Master Chin, my little hustle's been hit or miss anyway. Let me run it out of the shop from here on. Otherwise I'd feel bad taking that kind of salary for doing nothing all day. I laughed. Suit yourself. From now on, just call me boss. The second floor is my personal space. Don't bring anyone up here. Got it. I'll move into the first floor tonight. Can't let these treasures get roughed up. He looked around at all the fine furniture, eyes glowing with delight. Guarding this stuff day in and day out was pretty much sleeping on a pile of money. Once I'd covered everything, I left the spirit detector with him and headed out. A few sparrows landed on the roof, and before long, another flock of little birds scattered down onto the rooftops of the other shops up and down the street. When I got back to the guest house, Lung Yuaning was sitting alone in the office. She looked up at the sound of the door opening. Finally, you're here. Seeing the sour look on her face, I closed the door and walked over. Who pissed you off? Tell me, and I'll get you even. I figured Qian Ling had gotten under her skin again. She rested her chin on her hand. No. See for yourself. She handed me a document. The guest house is doing well now, so the higher-ups want to dump 50 workers on us. With that many extra people, there's no way we can keep everyone's pay and benefits where they are. I read it through and set it down. If they're pushing that many on us, imagine what the factory side is dealing with. Don't stress over it. Just focus on keeping the numbers up so people at least get their base wages. She nodded. Yeah, I'm planning to call a meeting and announce that bonuses are canceled. Otherwise, with more people coming in, we're bound to have problems down the line. I lit a cigarette. You sure you're leaving next month? I'm sure. Once the year-end handover is done, I'm out. She glanced at me. So what? You want to leave this for the next person to deal with? I took a drag. Not the next person. We handle it now on your watch. That's the opposite of what I just said. She rolled her eyes. I shook my head and smiled. Your approach is too blunt. Think about it. If you just announce it flat out, how are people going to react? I'm doing it for their own good. If the guest house goes under, everyone's out of a job. Here's what you do. I leaned in close to her ear and laid it out. When I finished, she looked at me. You really are the worst of them all. Hey now, keep talking like that, and I'll show you just how bad I can be. I was wrong, mercy, mercy. Before long, all kinds of rumors were flying around the guest house. I hear our funding's getting pulled. Layoffs might be coming. Layoffs. Keep it down. The rolling mills got their eyes on our money. The director wouldn't play ball. She went to bat for our bonuses and ended up in a shouting match with them. The factory said fine. If we want to keep our bonuses, we have to cut headcount. Only the ones left standing get paid. Yeah, I heard the same thing. The rolling mill's in even worse shape. They've got thousands of people to place, and they can barely make payroll. Word is they might start paying in treasury bonds. That's not gonna fly. Why should we be the ones getting cut? Let's go talk to the higher-ups. What good's that gonna do? Right now the bonus is basically a whole month's pay. Cut half the staff and the rest of us keep collecting. Anyone who makes a stink is basically volunteering to be on the chopping block. Then what are we supposed to do? Beats me. All I know is I'm getting that bonus. Exactly. You want to make trouble? Be my guest. The rest of us will happily take the bigger paychecks. I was sitting in my office having tea when I heard a knock. Come in. A pretty employee eased the door open and shut it fast behind her. I saw who it was and smiled. Guining, what's this about? She stepped forward, blushing. Director Qin, I know you love your tea, so I brought you a box. Come on, I've got everything I need. Take it back. Money doesn't grow on trees. Don't waste it on me. It's no trouble, really. She waved her hands nervously. Watching her, I asked, is something wrong? I patted my chest. If you've got a problem, just spit it out. If it's something I can do, no hesitation. That warmed her up. Director Qin, I know you're a good man. It's just, I've been hearing the guest house is going to lay people off. Is it true? Nothing to it. We're doing great here. No way there'd be layoffs. Her eyes got red. Please don't lie to me. Everyone's whispering about it. The city dumped thousands of people on the rolling mill, and they can barely make payroll. I sighed. Yeah, times are tough everywhere. Honestly, the rolling mills got it better than most. She grabbed my hand. Director Qin, you have to help me. Don't let them cut me. My family depends on this paycheck. Look, right now our hands are tied. What I say doesn't carry much weight. You've definitely got away. And with that she pressed herself right up against me. I put on a troubled face and slid my arm around her waist. You're really putting me in a spot here. Director, everyone knows you're the one who gets things done. Just give me some advice. I'll do whatever you say. She went ahead and sat right down in my lap. Come on now, look at you. I made a show of being conflicted. You really don't leave me a choice. All right, I'll tell you. Yes, please. She was already guiding my hand inside her clothes. I played along, keeping my hands busy while I talked. We're doing well, so of course we've got a target on our back. Director Lung's under a lot of pressure. If we cancel the bonuses, nobody's going to accept it, so it comes down to layoffs. Fewer people means the bonuses can keep coming. Hearing that, she looked at me anxiously. So how many are they cutting? Probably about half. Then what am I supposed to do? She snuggled into me. You've got to keep me on. I put on a helpless look. We've all worked together so long. I don't want to see anyone go, but this one's really out of my hands. Director, what if we gave up the bonus? Could we stay then? You'd actually go for that? She nodded quickly. Yes, absolutely. This place is great. Of course I would. A little while later, she left looking very happy. Right after, another employee sneaked in with a knock. Meanwhile, out in the halls, I heard Director Lung got into a fight with the factory. About what? About us, obviously. It got pretty ugly. The factory said if we don't cut people, they're sending over another batch. The director refused, said that would kill everyone's bonus. They had a full-blown falling out. Director Lung actually went to war with the factory for us. She always seems so cold, but when it counts, she really steps up for us. Ladies, we can't let the director down. I'm giving up my bonus. I'm going to put in the request right now. I'm going to. Count me in. I took a long drag on my cigarette, watched the scene playing out below, and the corner of my mouth curled up. Lung Yuning pinched my side. You are just wicked. Is it my turn to go on stage now? I wrapped my arms around her. Don't be like that. It's all for you. Yeah, you're the greatest. She laughed and kissed me. I'll go handle it. I'll reward you again later. Deal. I watched her walk out, then stepped to the window to look down. The moment the employees saw the director come out, they cut off their chatter and stood at attention. Lung Yuning's expression was calm and cool as she spoke. Let me set the record straight. The layoffs are a rumor. Tomorrow, 50 new employees will be joining us. I hope everyone will keep up their enthusiasm going forward. I can only promise to do my best to make sure wages get paid. Bonuses are canceled for the time being. The thing that had been giving her such a headache got resolved just like that. In a great mood, she headed cheerfully back up to her second-floor office. Little man, let big sis thank you properly. Hearing that, I pulled her over and pressed her down onto the desk. You've got some nerve calling me little. Today I'm going to show you what's what. MMPH. She glanced back at me with sultry eyes. That's exactly how I like you. My blood was boiling all over. That mix of cold and fire. The thrill was indescribable. Over the next few days, the guest house staff were all in high spirits. I caught snippets of their private chatter. So the rumors were true after all. Director Lung was keeping it from us. Director Lung seems cold on the outside, but she's really a good person. And Director Chin is even better. Nothing much happened those few days, but a lot of people started getting ideas. The next day, the rolling mill was buzzing. Over 1,000 unemployed sent-down youth stood in the plaza, all sent over by the district. I had He Jia and Xiao Ran pulled from the workshop and told HR to send them to the guest house to report for duty. He Jia knew right away I'd arranged it and gave me a smiling nod. Xiao Ran, though, whispered to her, "What are we supposed to do over there? Wait tables. You'll see when we get there." About 50 young women and wives in their 20s were lined up in the guest house courtyard while staff called roll and sorted them into groups. He Jia and Xiao Ran were assigned to the office. Lu Lan explained with a smile, "From now on you'll be based here, passing along orders and keeping Director Chin's office tidy." Xiao Ran was thrilled. No more workshop, and it was way more comfortable over here. I wasn't at the guest house at that moment. I'd gone over to my shop on Antique Street. When Lu Tong saw me, she stood up, a little shy. "Mr. Chin, you're here." I waved her off. "Don't do that thing your dad does. Just call me by name." "Where's San?" "Somebody's selling a house. He took some guys to go check it out. He'll be back in a bit." She scurried off to make tea. I've been keeping an eye on that instrument. Haven't picked up anything unusual. I sat down. "Good. You should work here from now on too. 50 yuan a month." She quickly waved her hands. "No need, really. I'm just sitting around at home anyway. Being here gives me something to do. You don't need to pay me. Can't have you working for nothing. Place needs someone to tidy up too. From now on the upstairs is your job. I get to go upstairs." Her face lit up. Her dad had told her before never to go up there, and she'd always been curious about what it looked like. "Upstairs is my private space. Nobody else, but you can." Her cheeks flushed pink, her eyes shining with delight. I'll keep it spotless." Lucen pushed the door open, and seeing me, hurried over. "Boss, you're here. Everything okay today?" "Just stopping by." "Boss, sometimes when I'm out running around I can't keep an eye on things, so I've been having Tong come over to help." "Just told her, 50 a month, and she'll take care of upstairs too." Lucen smiled and thanked me. "I've got a few more clients to line up on my end. Probably won't be back till tonight." "Go ahead." On his way out, he told Lu Tong not to wait dinner for him. I took a sip of tea. "Tong, you watch the shop. I'm heading upstairs. Give me a shout if anything comes up." "Okay. You eating lunch here?" "Sure. There's a kitchen upstairs. Just pick up some groceries and cook up there. Remember to lock the door." I went up. The upstairs had gotten dusty, so I stashed everything into the farm space, cleaned up, and brought it all back out. Then I walked over to the tea table by the window and sat down. A few sparrows landed on the sill. "Master, I saw some people scoping this place out." I brewed tea, unhurried. "What kind of people?" "Their boss is called Lone Wolf. Their den is a few streets over. They run black market business." I lit a cigarette. "Keep watching them. I'll pay a visit later." "Yes, master. My friends are keeping an eye out over there. No way he's slipping away." Getting your eyes set on you when you do business on Antique Street is normal enough, especially in a wild era like this one. Looks like down the line, I'll need to bring some thugs and street rats under my wing. Can't have people making trouble on my turf. This whole room of red sandalwood furniture. If anything got damaged, it'd break my heart. Lu Tong came upstairs and looked around at all the pieces with obvious delight. Bro Zheng, I'm heading out for groceries. What do you want to eat? Anything, I'm not picky. She was back with the groceries in no time, locked up, and came upstairs. Bro Zheng, I'm back. I'll go start cooking. Thanks for the trouble. It's no trouble at all. She blushed and carried the groceries into the kitchen. Seeing how clean and tidy it was, she happily got to work, sneaking peeks at me every now and then. When she'd laid out the food, I took a taste. Not bad at all. Glad you like it. She started putting food on my plate. I've got it, you eat too. Look how skinny you are. Eat up. I smiled and put some food on her plate. Her face went red. I don't eat much. Being this close to me, she couldn't help her heart racing. That soft, clingy side of hers really got to me. Thinking it over, she was watching the shop, and she was watching the spirit detector. Bringing her into my circle would set my mind at ease. Might as well keep the good stuff in the family. She wouldn't get a raw deal being with me. With a flicker of intent, I activated my power. A glowing point appeared in my sea of consciousness. Lu Tong didn't notice a thing. She just stayed by my side, sweet as ever. That day, Lu Tong nestled against me with a blissful look on her face. I leaned against the headboard and took a drag on a cigarette. Down the road, if you know anyone you trust, you can hire a couple of people to help you clean up. No need. I can handle it myself. Gives me something to do. She pressed close and said shyly, "Ever since I met you that first time, I've been dreaming about you." I teased. "So you've had your eye on me for a while, huh?" She nuzzled into my chest. I pulled a bottle of perfume out of my bag. "For you." Curious, she took it and gave it a sniff. Her eyes lit up. "Such a soft, elegant floral scent. I love it." "Thank you. I thought that scent suited you best. Are you going to come by often? I've got a lot of stamina. You sure you could take it every day?" She gave my chest a shy little kiss. "As long as you're happy." I rolled over on top of her. "Well, don't say I didn't warn you." At that same moment, Lu San had just seen his client off at the restaurant and was walking down the street when a few young men blocked his path. "What's this about, gentlemen? Brother Wolf wants to see you." Lu San cupped his hands. "Sorry, I've got things to do. I'll pay my respects another day." "Lu San, don't tell me you've never heard of Brother Wolf. Don't come, and it's on you." Lu San dropped the smile. "I've been running these streets for years. There's nothing I haven't seen. Go back and tell your Brother Wolf. There are some people he can't afford to mess with." With that, he turned and walked off. The young men exchanged glances. "Son of a bitch, you're asking for it." Seeing them come after him, Lu San bolted. "Murder. Somebody help." The street erupted in panic. The young ringleader pulled out a knife. "Get the hell out of here." Lu San's legs gave out, and he stumbled to the ground. "Don't do anything crazy. My boss isn't someone you want to mess with. We asked you nicely, and you refused. Today you're going to learn your lesson." The knife plunged into his stomach. "Arg." Lu San waved his hands in agony. "I've got money. Please, have mercy." An accomplice urged. "Let's bail. The patrol's coming." The young man drove another blade into his thigh. "Say one more word, and I'll send your whole family to hell. Move." Lu San felt his strength drain away, blood soaking through his clothes. He reached out weakly. "Help." Before he could finish, he blacked out. Everyone recognized those punks as local thugs from the area. Nobody dared step in. Only after they left did someone finally call an ambulance. Lone Wolf listened to his men's report and kicked the table over. "Pulling a stunt like that in broad daylight. Are you out of your damn minds? You want to die?" "Boss," the other side was getting cocky. "If we didn't teach them a lesson, who'd fear us anymore?" Lone Wolf grunted. Everyone lay low for a while. "Stay out of sight." Lu Tong and I had just finished getting ready and headed downstairs when there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find a middle-aged man standing there. Lu Tong stepped forward. "Uncle Zhang, what's wrong?" "Xiao Tong, get to the hospital, quick. Something happened to your dad. Some thugs stabbed him." My expression darkened. "Which hospital?" "We're on our way." Outside the ER at East District Hospital, Lu Tong's eyes were red and swollen. "Zhang, Dad's gonna be okay, right?" "He'll be fine. I promise." I pulled her close. She leaned into my chest, tears streaming down. "If something happens to him, how am I supposed to tell Xiao Hai?" The ER door swung open. Several doctors walked out, shaking their heads. "We did everything we could. His main artery was severed. There was nothing more we could do." Lu Tong's head spun, and I caught her before she collapsed. "Xiao Tong, hold it together." Two patrol officers came to the hospital to take our statements, promised they'd investigate, and left. The funeral was held at the house. Everyone from Antique Street who knew Lu San came by, offered Lu Tong a few words of comfort, and eyed me with curiosity. A young man in his 20s came running in, threw himself at Lu Tong in tears. "Sis, what happened to Dad?" "Xiao Hai, Dad was murdered by thugs." I stood off to the side, saying nothing. It was my first time meeting Lu Hai, early 20s, refined and scholarly. Lu Tong had told me he studied archaeology at Capital University. 3 days later, after helping the siblings bury their father, we went home together. Lu Tong wiped the corner of her eye. Xiao Hai, head back to school. I'll take care of things here. Lu Hai looked at his sister, then at me. Call me if anything comes up. Lu Hai hadn't said a word to me these past few days. Whether it was awkwardness or something else, I didn't press it. After seeing her brother off, Lu Tong turned to me apologetically. Zheng, Xiao Hai's just shy. It's fine. Keep the shop closed for now. Stay home and rest. I'll come by whenever I can. I can manage on my own. I kissed her forehead. Be good. Get some rest. I'll be back in a few days. She held me tight. You'll come back, right? Of course. With me around, you don't have to worry about a thing. I trust you. She looked up at me, her eyes full of love. I pinched her cheek and turned to leave. I'd left those guys alone for a few days. That was already more life than they deserved. I found a secluded spot, activated my ability, and vanished. Then I followed the address Bird One had given me. Lone Wolf was in the middle of a card game with his crew. Huh. Pay up, pay up. I smirked from the shadows. A few pieces of burning incense appeared in the room. What's that smell? What smell? Someone was trying to find the source when they suddenly went limp and dropped to the floor. Something's wrong. Lone Wolf shot up, only for the world to spin. He crashed straight to the ground. I pulled every last one of them into my farm space. Lone Wolf woke up in an unfamiliar room, his brothers all strung up around him. Where the hell am I? Show yourself. I appeared in front of him in an instant. His pupils shrank. You. Are you human or a ghost? Who killed Lu San? Let me go, or I'll break out and kill your whole family. I waved my hand, sending out an invisible wind blade. Lone Wolf felt a chill on his legs, then saw both of them lying on the ground, severed. He screamed in horror. This was my farm space. Everything here bent to my will. I ignored his screams, casually swiping my hand from time to time, watching his breath grow weaker. With a single thought, I disposed of him for good. I looked at the others still unconscious. I'd lost the mood to draw it out. I finished them all off. Streams of memories flooded into me. One of them turned out to be the guy who'd actually stabbed Lu San. Revenge was done, but the fire inside me still hadn't cooled. Ever since I killed that bald-headed Master Zhao, 3 new bosses had risen to power in this area. Lone Wolf was nothing but small fry, no match for the other 2. Damn, a little punk like that thinks he can muscle in on my turf. I left the farm space, returned to Lone Wolf's hideout, and searched the place. Found a little over 1,000 yuan and some ration tickets. I biked straight home. Ah Fu opened the door and let me in. Boss, you're back. Yeah, everything okay at home? All good. Just that folks from the courtyards nearby have been talking about you. I set the bike down. Talking about me how? He followed me inside, brewed a cup of tea, and handed it over. Prices are through the roof these days, and wages are being paid out in treasury bonds. Word is, some people are looking to hit you up for a loan or a job. I laughed. In their dreams. Ah Fu added, Boss, I ran the analysis. This kind of thing is only going to get worse over the next few years. If you want peace and quiet, you either move somewhere else, or you take care of all these people. I rolled my eyes. What am I, some kind of serial killer? Wiping people out over petty crap like this? He quickly bowed. I selected the option based on your personality, sir. Now you're reading me too? I said it out loud, but inside I had to admit, this guy really did know me well. Knock, knock, knock. Boss, someone's at the door. I got up and opened it. A young couple stood outside, residents from the shared courtyard down the alley. They looked a little tense. Director Chin, sorry to bother you. The man had an honest, simple look about him. The woman was fairly pretty. She blushed as she spoke up. Director Chin, you're a big shot at the steel mill. Could you find me some kind of work? The Chang's factory isn't doing well either, and with prices rising and wages coming in treasury bonds, life's just getting harder and harder. We're really at the end of our rope. I noticed plenty of ears in the alley perking up to listen in. I handed the man a cigarette. The steel mill took on over 1,000 people today, all to place educated youth coming back from the countryside. Assigning jobs isn't something a small-time cadre like me can pull off anymore. Director Chin, you're the only big shot in this whole alley. Can't you come up with something for us? Yeah, you're tight with Director Feng at the neighborhood office. Help us think of something. I put on a troubled face. Times are tough for everyone. I won't lie to you. Starting a few months back, even our cadre salaries got switched over to government bonds. We're all tightening our belts to support the country's development. The neighborhood office is pushing self-reliance now. Does your wife have any skills? I'm just an old woman. Aside from mending clothes and cooking, I don't really know how to do anything. I smiled. Cooking's plenty. Go ask over at the neighborhood office. Your wife could open a little diner. The woman hesitated. Would that work? The man shook his head. She's an old woman. Her going out and showing her face like that. How would that look? The woman was instantly ticked off. What's wrong with being an old woman? Women hold up half the sky. When women go to work, are they not showing their faces too? The moment she said that, the whole alley crowded around. Director Chin, I can cook too. Can I apply to open a diner? I can cook too. Can I apply? The woman got flustered. What are you all butting in for? Daqiang's wife, what are you getting worked up about? Yeah, it's not like only you're allowed to do it. Director Chin, help us out too. I spread my hands, feigning helplessness. I've told you what to do. The rest is up to you. With that, I turned and headed back into the courtyard. The steward shut the gate behind me. Outside, the neighbors looked at each other and drifted off. A few wanted to gripe about me, but nobody dared say it loud. Plenty of the folks around here worked at the steel mill, and word had gotten out that I had some serious backing. Meanwhile, over at the Liuxiang neighborhood office, Feng Jing was surrounded by a crowd asking about becoming self-employed. There's a policy from up top. Anyone with a skill can apply under these categories. He pulled out a document, puzzled about why so many had shown up at once. Why are you all suddenly asking about this? Director Chin said we've got to be self-reliant and tighten our belts to support the country. Director Feng, I can cook. Can I apply to open a restaurant? I want to apply to. And our family. In the middle of the night, I woke up, got dressed, activated Shadow Cloak, and vanished from the room. At an abandoned warehouse in the West District, a few dozen guys were gathered, some playing cards, some drinking, the whole place in chaos. In the inner room sat a young man in his 20s, toying with a knife. The lights suddenly cut out. The room went pitch black. The young man cursed and got up to open the door. Move one more step, and you're dead. His hair stood on end. He whipped the knife backhand and lunged for the door at the same time. Thud! Something slammed into his chest. He went flying backward and crashed into the wall, hitting the floor with a heavy thump. Who are you? Who I am doesn't matter. From now on, you serve me, or you die. He clutched his chest and sneered. Heh, you don't even dare show your face, and you want me to pledge loyalty? I, Iron Fist, am not the type to cling to life. I've looked into you. Of the three big powers in the West End, you're the one who plays it straight. That's why I picked you. Should I thank you for the compliment? Suit yourself. I'll ask one more time. Serve me or die? His eyes adjusted to the dark, and by the sliver of light through the door crack, he could just barely make out a figure. But he had no idea how the person had gotten in, how the blow had landed, and he had zero ability to fight back. What do you want me to do? Just answer me. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead. He knew. One shake of the head, and he was a dead man. I agree. I'll serve you. Now can I see your real face? That was exactly what I was waiting for. With a single thought, I activated the enslavement power. A new point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness, and the confirmation of successful enslavement flooded my mind. Iron Fist's earlier plan, to fake compliance and get his revenge later, evaporated in an instant. He dropped to his knees respectfully. This subordinate swears eternal loyalty to my master. I nodded. 3 hours from now, take your men and take over the other 2 powers. Yes, sir. Your job is to have people watching Antique Street day and night. No petty theft allowed. Anyone who dares harass the residents nearby, you deal with them. Hard. Understood. He asked again, how do I contact you, master? You don't. When I have a job for you, I'll find you. The lights in the room suddenly blazed back on. Iron Fist realized the figure was gone, and his awe deepened. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and walked out, barking a single order, gather everyone. We've got a big job tonight. The men outside dropped their drinks and cards. Boss, give the word. I've been wanting to wipe those 2 crews out for ages. At another courtyard house in the West District, a scrawny middle-aged man had a woman on his arm as he drank. Boss, Iron Fist's been getting cocky lately. When are we going to take him out? The middle-aged man sneered. The cockier he gets, the safer we are. As long as he doesn't get in the way of our business, let him strut. He kissed the woman on the cheek. If he can help me rake in more cash, I'd hand you over to him myself. Master Lu, you're awful. All the men in the room stared at the woman's seductive act, practically drooling. Suddenly, a thick fragrance drifted through the air. Before anyone could react, every last one of them collapsed. I hauled them into the farm and disposed of them. Finally, I looked down at the woman on the floor. I thought about it for a second. She hadn't done anything with her own hands, but she knew plenty of dirty secrets. Since she'd enjoyed the perks, she got to shoulder the risks that came with them. Into the farm she went too. No mercy for the flower. Streams of memories poured into my head. Under the bed, there was a big wooden chest half full of cash. I went through every room and picked out some imported liquor for the warehouse too. The middle-aged man had 2 stashes. I cleaned out both. The third power went down the same way. Physical enlightenment. The whole thing only took 2 hours. I found a spot to sit down and take inventory. Over 130,000 in cash, 12 large gold bars, 86 small gold bars, 592 antique porcelain pieces, and 2 crates of jade, over 100 pieces total. A shame there was nothing with energy in it. I waited in the shadows, watching Iron Fist and his crew set up an ambush in the surrounding area, checking their watches from time to time. At the 3-hour mark, they stormed the empty nests. "Boss, nobody here. This one's empty too. But look at all this stuff." Iron Fist waved his hand. "Leave a few guys to move everything out. The rest of you, follow me to the next one." Seeing everything was in order, I finally headed home. The reason I didn't show my face is that these guys were already marked. Any day now, they could get hauled off and shot. That's also why I only told him to protect Antique Street, without naming any specific shops. Even after being enslaved, they wouldn't be able to give me up, but I still didn't want any connection to people like them. Early the next morning, the residents of Antique Street noticed a group of young guys patrolling up and down the block, huddling together and whispering. "You think it's the crew that killed Lu San?" "No idea." The breakfast stall owner lowered his voice. "West District's got a new boss." "What happened?" "I got up to take a leak in the middle of the night and saw Iron Fist's people rounding everyone up. Now they run the show alone. Word is, from here on out, nobody's allowed to stir up trouble on Antique Street." "The Lone Wolves?" "Nobody's seen M since last night." "Hey, that's good news. Means peace and quiet around here. Question is how long it'll last." "You think somebody avenged San?" At that, everyone quickly shut up and buried their heads in their food. Some things are better left alone. "Director Chin." "Morning, Director Chin." The second I walked into the guest house, staff greeted me warmly one after another. The new hires followed the veterans' lead, all sizing up this young guy with curious eyes. Some had heard of me, but were seeing me for the first time. I smiled and headed upstairs. "Director Chin." Xiao Ren waved enthusiastically. She and He Jia were both in the office. I nodded. "Yeah, work hard now." "You bet." He Jia shot me a look. I chuckled. "He Jia, go make me a cup of tea. I'm gonna swing by the director's office first." "Got it." Lung Yuning was sitting inside. She looked up as I came in. Well, Director Chin done with his inspection." She reached back and locked the door. "Just coming to report to Director Lung." I scooped her up in my arms. She laughed and slapped me lightly. "You didn't come by all day yesterday." I set her down on the desk. "Yesterday was crazy busy. Of course I didn't come." She rolled her eyes at me. "Always slacking off. The new director hasn't been picked yet. From what Deputy Director Du hinted, they might want you to do both jobs." I gave her a squeeze. "No way am I here every day. If they're not scared I'll run this place into the ground, then fine, I'll take it on." You and your schemes, MMM. In the factory director's office, Du Yunfei took a drag on his cigarette. "Director Lung from the guest house is transferring out next month. Question is who takes over." Feng Jiaowei sipped his tea. "That place is turning a good profit. Plenty of people want the job." "Right. But the reason it's profitable comes down to one guy." "You're saying we put Qin Zheng in charge?" Du Yunfei smiled. "Knowing him, he definitely won't want to. So what's your plan?" "Let him do what he's good at. But that place can't run without him either. Right now, back-end procurement costs are shooting through the roof. The planned supply isn't nearly enough. With our 23 cafeterias, we're looking at tens of thousands over budget every month, and the food quality keeps dropping. The workers have been complaining, but nobody's got a solution. I want to talk to him and see if he can crack this." Feng Jiaowei lit a cigarette and thought for a moment. "That won't be easy, handing him supply of that scale. Aren't you worried he'll bail?" Du Yunfei shook his head. "Qin Zheng doesn't care about power. Looks idle most days, but the guy's got a serious sense of responsibility. Every task we've given him, he's delivered. This one's tough. I don't expect him to solve it entirely. Even a partial fix, even just on the meat supply side, could save the factory tens of thousands a month. Back in the day, tens of thousands wasn't beneath them, they just didn't care. Things are different now. The factory's on its own for profit and loss. Every penny has to be earned, and it ties directly to whether they get promoted to the ministry." Feng Jiaowei nodded. "Everyone agrees Qin Zheng's got a strong sense of duty. Let's do it your way. Give him the guest house director role too." Back in my office, the tea on the desk had gone cold. I picked it up and gulped down a big mouthful. He Jiao pushed the door open. "It's gone cold. Let me brew you another." "It's fine. I was thirsty anyway." The phone on the desk rang. He Jiao poured a glass of water and stepped out. I picked up. "Who is this?" "Comrade Qin Zheng, it's me. Got some work I'd like to discuss with you." I biked straight home. Afu opened the gate. "Welcome back, boss." "Yeah, everything good here. All good. Though the folks in the nearby courtyards have been talking about you a lot lately." I parked the bike and followed him in. He poured me a cup of tea, talking about me how prices are high right now, and a lot of people had part of their wages swapped out for treasury bonds. "I've caught wind that some are looking to borrow money from you, or have you land them a job." I smirked. "They wish. Boss, based on my systems analysis, this kind of thing is only going to increase over the next few years. To avoid the hassle, you either move somewhere else, or take care of all these people." I rolled my eyes. I'm not some psycho killer. You want me to off people over crap like this? Afu quickly bowed. This subordinate was just picking options based on your personality, boss. Now you're reading my mind? I said it out loud, but silently added, damn, he really does know me. Knock, knock, knock. Boss, someone's at the door. I got up to answer. Outside stood a young couple, residents from one of the shared courtyards in the alley. Both looked a bit uneasy. Director Chin, sorry to bother you. The man looked like a simple, honest type. The woman had some looks about her, though she was bundled up. With my eye for it, I could tell she had a nice figure underneath. Yeah, what can I do for you? The woman glanced at me shyly. Director Chin, let me do the talking. You're a big shot over at the steel mill. Could you maybe find me a job? DeChang's factory isn't doing well either, and with prices climbing and part of the wages paid in treasury bonds, life's getting harder by the day. We're really out of options. I noticed plenty of people in the alley were straining to eavesdrop. I pulled out a cigarette and handed it to the man. The steel mill just took in over 1,000 new hires today. To place the returning educated youth, the higher-ups have tried every trick in the book. A small-time cadre like me hasn't had the pull to place people for a while now. Director Chin, we're all from the same alley, and you're the only big cadre we've got. Could you at least point us in the right direction? Yeah, and Director Fong at the neighborhood office knows you too. Maybe you could work something out with him? I put on a troubled expression. Times are tough for everyone. Not gonna lie, starting a few months back, us cadres have had our wages fully switched to treasury bonds too. We're all tightening our belts to support the country's development. The neighborhood office is pushing self-reliance right now. You got any skills, sister? Let me see if I can point you somewhere. I'm just a housewife. Aside from mending clothes, all I can do is cook. Honestly, that's about it. I smiled. Cooking works. You could head to the neighborhood office and ask about opening a small diner. The woman hesitated. That's actually allowed? The man shook his head. She's just a woman. What business does she have showing her face in public? The woman didn't like that one bit. What's wrong with being a woman? Women hold up half the sky. Isn't going to work also showing your face in public? The neighbors in the alley started crowding around. Director Chin, I can cook too. Can I apply to open a small restaurant? I can cook too. Can I apply? The woman got flustered. What are you all butting in for? DeChang's wife. Why are you getting all worked up? Yeah, it's not like you're the only one allowed to do it. Director Chin, give us some pointers too. I put on a helpless expression as I looked at the crowd. I already told you everything. The rest is up to you. With that, I turned and headed back into the courtyard, and the housekeeper shut the gate right behind me. The neighbors outside looked at each other, then turned and walked off. Some wanted to curse me out, but nobody dared say it loud. Plenty of steel mill workers lived around here, and word had gotten around that I had powerful connections. Over at the Liuxiang neighborhood office, Feng Jing watched a crowd swarm and asking about becoming self-employed vendors, and she was completely puzzled. There's a new policy from above. Anyone with a trade can apply under these categories. She pulled out a document. Why are you all suddenly asking about this at once? Director Chin said we need to be self-reliant, tighten our belts, and support the country's development. That's right, Director Feng. I can cook. Can I apply to open a restaurant? I want to apply too. And my family. In the middle of the night, I woke up, got dressed, activated Shadow Shift, and vanished in a blink. In an abandoned warehouse in the West District, several dozen people were gathered, some playing cards, some drinking, the whole place a rowdy mess. In the inner room sat a young man in his 20s, toying with a dagger in his hand. Suddenly the lights went out. The room fell pitch black. The young man cursed under his breath and got up to open the door. One more step, and you're dead. The voice made his hair stand on end. He whipped his hand back and flung the dagger, then charged toward the door. Thud! Something slammed into his chest. He flew backward, crashed into the wall, and hit the ground with a dull thump. Who are you? Who I am doesn't matter. From this day on, you swear loyalty to me, or die. Clutching his chest, the young man sneered. Huh, you won't even show your face, and you expect me to swear loyalty? I, Iron Fist, am not one to beg for my life. I've looked into you. Of the three main powers in the West District, you play it straighter than the other two. That's why I picked you. Guess I should thank you for the compliment. Think whatever you want. I'll ask one more time, loyalty or death? The young man's eyes adjusted to the dark. Through the sliver of light under the door, he could just make out a silhouette. He hadn't sensed the man's arrival at all, and that last blow, he hadn't stood a chance. What do you want me to do? Just answer the question. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He knew if he shook his head, there'd be only one outcome. I accept. I swear loyalty. Now can I see your real face? That was exactly what I was waiting for. A single thought, divine ability, enslave activated. Both sides had to establish a connection, or it wouldn't work. A new point of light lit up in my sea of consciousness, and the confirmation of success flooded my mind. Iron Fist had been planning to play along and get revenge later, but that thought instantly vanished. He dropped to his knees respectfully. This subordinate swears eternal loyalty to my lord. I nodded. Good. In 3 hours, take your men and take over the other 2 factions. Yes, sir. Your job is to keep people on watch at Antique Street day and night. I don't want to see a single petty thief. Anyone messes with the residents around there, you crack down hard. Understood. How should I contact you, my lord? You don't need to contact me. When I have a task, I'll find you. The lights in the room suddenly flicked back on. Iron Fist realized no one else was there, and his awe deepened. He stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and walked out. Call everybody back. We've got big work tonight. The men outside heard him and dropped whatever they were holding. Boss, just give the order. I've been itching to wipe out those other 2 crews for ages. In another courtyard house in the West District, a scrawny middle-aged man had his arm around a woman while drinking with his crew. Boss, Iron Fist's been getting cocky lately. When are we taking him out? The middle-aged man sneered. The cockier he gets, the safer we are. As long as he doesn't mess with our business, let him strut. He gave the woman a kiss. Hell, if he could help me make more money, I'd hand you over to him myself. Master Lu, you're awful. Ha! The men in the room stared at the woman's sultry expression, all swallowing hard. Suddenly, a thick, sweet fragrance drifted through the air. Before anyone could react, they all dropped to the floor. I collected them into the farm and disposed of them. Finally, I looked down at the woman on the ground and thought it over. She hadn't really done anything, but she knew a lot of dirty secrets. With that in mind, I pulled her into the farm too. No mercy. If you enjoyed the perks, you accept the risks. Streams of memories flooded into my mind. Under the bed, there was a big wooden chest, half full of cash. I made a round through every room and grabbed some foreign liquor and imported goods to stash in the warehouse. The middle-aged man had 2 hidden stashes. I cleaned both of them out. The other faction got the same treatment. Physical enlightenment. By the time I finished, 2 hours had passed. I found a spot to sit down and take inventory. Over 130,000 in cash, 12 large gold bars, 86 small gold bars, 592 antique porcelain pieces, and 2 crates of jade. Over 100 items. Shame there was nothing with spiritual energy. I waited in the shadows and watched Iron Fist lead his men into position around the area, checking his watch every so often, until finally, at the 3-hour mark, they stormed into the enemy's stronghold. Boss, nobody's here. Nothing over here either. Tons of supplies, though. Iron Fist waved his hand. Leave some men to haul everything out. The rest of you, come with me to the next spot. Seeing everything was under control, I headed home. The reason I didn't show my face was because these people were already on the government's radar. Any day now, they could be dragged off and shot. That's also why I only told him to protect Antique Street, without specifying any particular shop. Sure, the enslavement meant he couldn't rat me out, but I still didn't want to be tied to guys like that. Early the next morning, residents near Antique Street noticed a bunch of young toughs patrolling up and down the street, gathering in small groups and murmuring. Are those the guys who took out Lu San's crew? Beats me. The owner of a breakfast stall lowered his voice as he talked to a customer. Things have flipped in the West District. Flipped how? I got up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw Iron Fist's people rounding folks up all over the place. He's the only one left standing now, and word is, nobody's allowed to cause trouble on Antique Street anymore. The lone wolf gang that used to hang around here? Not a single one of them's been seen since last night. Hey, that's good news. Means it'll be peaceful around here. Just don't know how long it'll last. You think somebody's out there avenging Sanzi? Everyone shut up and lowered their heads back to their food. This was the kind of thing better left undiscussed. Director Chin. Morning, Director Chin. The moment I walked into the guest house, staff greeted me warmly one after another. The new hires followed the veterans' lead in saying hello, all sizing up this young guy with curious eyes. Plenty of them had heard my name, but were seeing me for the first time. I smiled and headed upstairs. Director Chin. Xiao Ren waved enthusiastically. I saw her and he just sitting in the office. I nodded with a smile. Good. Now that you're here, work hard. I definitely will. Hijia rolled her eyes. I chuckled. Hijia, go make me a cup of tea. I'm going to check in at the director's office first. Sure. Lung Yuaning was sitting in her office. She looked up as I came in. Well, if it isn't Director Chin, finishing his rounds. She casually locked the door behind me. Just here to report to Director Lung, of course. I scooped her up. She laughed and gave me a light slap. You didn't come by all day yesterday. I set her down on the desk. I definitely had stuff going on yesterday. No way I was coming in. She shot me a look. All you know how to do is slack off. They still haven't picked a new director. From what Deputy Factory Manager Du said, they might want you to do both. I pressed in. There's no way I'm here every day. If they aren't scared, I'll run the place into the ground. Sure, let me double up. You and your sneaky ideas, MH. In the rolling mill factory manager's office, Du Yunfei took a drag on his cigarette. Director Lung of the guest house is leaving next month. Question is, who takes over? Feng Jiaowei sipped his tea. That place is doing well now. Plenty of people would jump at the chance. Right. But the reason it's doing well comes down to one person. You mean, put Comrade Qin Zheng in charge? Du Yunfei laughed. Knowing him, he'd never want the job. So what are you thinking? I still want him doing what he's good at, but they can't do without him over there either. Right now, logistics and procurement costs are climbing. The planned quota supplies aren't nearly enough for the factory anymore. Just these 23 cafeterias. We're running tens of thousands over budget every month, and the food quality keeps dropping. The workers have been grumbling for a while now. They just don't have any recourse. I want to have a talk with him, see if he can take this on. Feng Jiaowei lit a cigarette and thought for a moment. That's a tough one. Handing him supply on that scale. Aren't you afraid he'll walk? Qin Zheng may look like he coasts and stays out of power plays, but his sense of responsibility is off the charts. Anything you hand him, he gets done. This one's hard, sure. I don't expect him to solve the whole thing, just chip away at part of it. Even if he only handles the meat supply, that's tens of thousands saved every month. Back in the day, a few tens of thousands wouldn't have registered. Now it's different. The factory has to answer for its own bottom line. Every cent has to be earned. On top of that, whether they get promoted into the ministry is tied to job performance. All right, everyone acknowledges his work ethic. Let's do it your way. Have him double as the guest house director. Back in my own office, the tea on the desk had gone cold. I picked it up and took a big swig. He Jiao pushed the door open. It's gone cold. Let me make you a fresh one. Don't worry about it. I was thirsty anyway. The phone on the desk rang. He Jiao poured me a glass of water and stepped out. I picked up. Who is this? Comrade Qin Zheng, it's me. Got some work stuff to talk over with you. Manager Du, I'll head over to your office. All right, I'll be waiting. I hung up. Figured it was the thing Lung Yuning mentioned. I grabbed my bag and headed out. You're heading out? He Jia asked. Manager Du wants to see me, gonna go check in. I smiled and headed downstairs. Xiao Ren shook her head. He really doesn't get a moment's rest. He Jia gave a small smile. I'll go tidy up his office. Du Yunfei warmly poured me a cup of tea. Xiao Qin, I called you in because I've got a tough assignment for you. Manager Du poured me tea, and right off the bat said he had a tough job for me. I smiled and played along. Manager Du, if you're calling it tough, sounds like this is a big one. He raised a hand and pointed at me, setting his cup down. Our factory's supply keeps falling short, and procurement costs are climbing way too fast. I talked it over with Manager Feng. We both think this is your wheelhouse. We want you to take over cafeteria procurement. Manager Du, you're working me like a mule here. What kind of talk is that? It's called the capable carry the load. Same thing. I took a sip of tea. Our factory cafeterias run a few thousand a day, at least 150 grand a month. He nodded. That was before. Now it's over 8,000 a day, north of 200 grand a month, tens of thousands over budget. At this rate, it'll only climb. All that overage could have covered a lot of wages. I'm not asking you to take the whole thing. The factory's livestock farm and vegetable plots cover some, and with the planned quota supplies, that's about half. Whatever you can handle on top of that saves us serious money. I pulled out cigarettes and we both lit up. Truth is, price hikes are only part of it. The real issue is that insiders are diverting planned quota supplies to sell on the outside at a markup. That's why the planned quotas aren't enough. In plain language, they're moving stuff from the left hand to the right. I took a deep drag. Manager, this job's gonna make enemies. Haven't you talked to Director Liu? He's the logistics director. He took a pull off his cigarette. Everyone at the factory knows what you're talking about. People just play dumb. Old Liu applied for medical retirement. Manager Feng and I already signed off. We've decided to appoint you as logistics director, doubling as guest house director. The second I heard Liu Liangong was retiring on medical leave, I knew the factory had already had the talk with him. The logistics director job, if you've got connections, it's a stepping stone up. If you don't, it's a cash cow and a scapegoat rolled into one. I took a drag. The factory really is putting a lot of stock in me. I can do the job, but I need a written statement. Anything on the books before I take over has nothing to do with me. He laughed and pointed at me. You little fox, always working the angles. He took another drag and nodded. Anyone else, forget it. But for you, I'll agree. On handover day, you'll get it in writing. The factory's meeting your terms, so don't you drop the ball. I nodded with a smile. All right, I won't promise the whole thing, but pulling most of the procurement back in line, no problem. Good. He was pleased. I knew this wouldn't stump you. Handover's at the end of next month. In the meantime, let old Liu finish out his last stretch on the job. Sounds good. I'll be ready whenever you call. Business out of the way, we both loosened up. He grinned. That rumor going around the guest house a while back, it even made it up to me. Whose nasty little scheme was that? I stared blankly. What rumor? Had to be your idea, kid. Left the factory holding the bag as the bad guy. Director, don't pin that on me. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Law-abiding my ass. He laughed again. Old Fong was saying, how come a talent like that isn't with us? After they crammed all those people in a while back, he was pulling his hair out. I chuckled. Different situation. Our side only has a handful of people. Your side has how many? That's what you can't pull the same trick twice. He thought about it and actually looked impressed. Kid, drop you in wartime and you'd be a jack of all trades. Don't hype me up, or I'm afraid there'll be another job waiting for me. He burst out laughing again. I sat for a while longer before leaving the office. On my way downstairs, I ran into Su Yin from the finance department. Director Qin. I smiled and waved. Accountant Su, long time no see. She gave me a wounded look. You're busy. I'll head back and handle some work. I bailed immediately. She got married at the beginning of the year. That didn't bother me. There was nothing between us to begin with, and I'd never felt anything. It was that wounded puppy look of hers that I couldn't stand. Walking back to the guest house, I was doing the math in my head. My farm space had every kind of vegetable and grain. Forget one steel mill, I could supply 10. The problem was, how to get it out. That was the tricky part. Looks like it's time to put those few villages to use. Back in the office, Hijia followed me in. Everything okay? I gave her a pinch. What could be wrong with me? Now that I'm over here, things are a lot more convenient. She leaned into my arms and pouted. You're always picking on me. I'll let you off today. I've got some calls to make first. Then I'll head out. I gave her a pat. After she left, I picked up the phone and dialed. Old Lou, it's me. Get the village to plant more vegetables and raise more pigs and poultry. I'll buy them up when they're ready. The price won't shortchange you, guaranteed. I made several calls in a row. These villages alone couldn't meet the steel mill's needs, but I needed a cover story. The rest could come out of the farm space. I lit a cigarette and thought about who to put in charge of deliveries. Chen Dajuan and his crew came to mind. I nodded. After all this time, that kid had staying power. Time to give him a shot. Lung Yuaning pushed the door open and came in. Wrapped up? Wrapped up. The whole cafeteria procurement is mine. That's a tough gig these days. You took it. Took it. I'm in logistics anyway. No reason I can't take it on. She thought for a moment. How about I introduce you to some people you can source from? No need. I've got it handled. This has to be squeaky clean. I'm not hurting for the money. No need to leave any loose ends. All right. Hit me up if you run into trouble. I gave her a kiss. Beautiful. I don't feel like grinding anymore. She froze for a second, then couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing, covering her mouth. Ha ha ha. You're gonna kill me. Be serious. How can you laugh? Call me big sis, little man, and I'll take care of you. Oh yeah? Calling me little again. Let me show you what I've got. Mercy. She held me tight. This woman, she always made me feel grounded. Chen Dajuan squatted by the roadside with a few brothers, smoking. Junji, how come everyone else got into the factory and we're stuck doing this? Yeah, take us along and let's keep hustling. Look at Guzi and them, strutting around like big shots. Weren't they all following you back in the day? Chen Dajuan took a deep drag. Cut the hustling talk. We've stuck it out this long, we can't backslide now. He tossed the butt on the ground and stomped it out. If you're with me, keep following me. Anyone who's not, walk now, I won't stop you. We've grinded together this long. Next time we meet, I'll still call you brother. The others looked at each other and all stood up. I'm with Junji. You call the shots, we'll follow. No backsliding, ever. Chen Dajuan clapped their shoulders. Good men. Long as I've got a bite to eat, my brothers won't go hungry. I saw the whole thing. I called out, Dajuan. He turned, then hurried over. Master Qin, go take a shower and come find me at my place. You in? His face lit up. I'm in. Thank you, Master Qin, for the shot. The 5 guys behind him were beside themselves with excitement. Thank you, Master Qin. Passers-by on the street kept turning to look. Chen Dajuan waved his arm, feeling on top of the world. Brothers, bathhouse, let's go. I headed home. Boss. Yeah, Dajuan's coming by in a bit. Take him to the study. Afu acknowledged, then added. Boss, the alley was quite a scene today. The neighborhood only allows so many private businesses, and some people picked the same one. Ended up throwing hands. I smiled. Let him squabble a bit. Once inside, I went to the farm to shower, changed into something loose, and sat in the study brewing tea. The steel mill had over 14,000 people, daily grain consumption around 10 tons, 6 tons of vegetables, over a ton of cooking oil, at least a ton of meat. Even setting aside the planned rations and the half they supplied themselves, what remained each day was no small number. Chen Dajuan and his boys alone really couldn't handle it. I lifted my tea and took a sip. Logistics wasn't normally my beat, but plenty of people reported things to me, so I wasn't in the dark. I wasn't afraid of making enemies, but since I'd taken this on, I had to nail it. Footsteps came from outside. The housekeeper brought Chen Dajuan in. Boss, he's here. All right, you can go. Chen Dajuan looked a little nervous. He knew I was a big shot, and looking around at the place and the furnishings, he barely dared to step forward. Especially with a fierce tiger mounted in the room, his throat went dry. Master Qin. I sent out a thought and activated enslavement. A new point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness. Success. Come in. That's one I killed up in the mountains during my time in the countryside. Looked good, so I put it in here. His eyes turned even more reverent. Master Qin, what a display of prowess. Only a man of your standing could take down a tiger. Sit. I poured him a cup of tea. I'm planning to have you supply the steel mill cafeteria. The demand over there is huge. His face was electric with excitement. Master Qin, I'll bust my ass on this. I'll head back and round up the guys to find sources. You know what sources to look for? Cafeteria stuff. Can't do without grain, vegetables, and meat. I've got tight connections at the grain station. 50 tons of planned quota grain a month is no problem. More than that means paying extra. Vegetables I can collect from villages outside the city. There are dozens of villages. I can pull in 100+ tons easy. Meat I won't overpromise, but a few dozen domestic pigs is doable. That definitely won't be enough for the steel mill, so I can widen the net and hit every village outside the city. I took a sip of tea. This quantity isn't enough for the factory's consumption. Since you've got so many resources, why haven't you supplied these companies before? He scratched his head. They look down on us. The people inside are shady. You gotta grease palms and pull strings for everything. After all that, there's no profit left. I don't have that kind of money to throw around either. Farming ain't easy for regular folks, and I was scared I couldn't get the money back and would screw them over. I don't mind getting screwed myself, but I can't do that to them. I nodded. Drink your tea. His anxious heart settled a bit. Being told to drink tea meant he'd passed the first test. Barring anything unusual, starting tomorrow, bring one trusted brother over every morning before 7. Let me get a look at them. He stood up and answered loudly. Yes, sir. Inside, he was thrilled. His chance had finally come. Once I've seen them all, I'll tell you what to do next. Yes, sir. I set down my teacup, pulled a stack of cash out of the drawer, and tossed it on the table. This is for you to treat your brothers to a meal. No need to explain what for. Rest assured, Master Qin. I'll take care of it. Go on. Watching him walk away, I smiled. This kid really was a thoughtful, sharp one. I hadn't expected him to have so many resources on hand either. This'd make it convenient for me to move things out of the farm. Master. Bird 2's voice rang out in my head. I responded through my consciousness. What is it? The pretty mistress is angry in her office. Why? That guy she hates showed up again. Keep watching. I downed my tea in one gulp and stood up. Fu watched the house. Yes. In the alley outside Yuebin restaurant, 3 stray dogs were sniffing around for food. Suddenly a few yelps rang out, and all 3 dogs vanished. I formed a hand seal with my left hand, channeled my energy to draw a talisman, and sent it into one of the dogs' minds. A doghead light dot appeared in my sea of consciousness. Contract successful. But the mana in my Dantian dropped by half in an instant. Damn, one dog eats up that much mana. Not wanting to waste any more, I woke the dog up. The stray climbed to its feet, shook its head, and looked at me with excitement. Master. All right, from now on you're dog 1. Can you get those 2 to work someone over in a bit? How rough? Bite him a few times. Too easy, master. Where is he? I'll go right now. Idiot. Is this something you can handle yourself? I'll get you outside. Once they wake up, you tell them what to do. Job well done, you get roast chicken. Thank you, master. We haven't even had chicken bones in ages. 3 dogs appeared out of thin air in the alley. 2 lay on the ground, and after a while, they slowly came to. Dog 1 rushed over and whispered to its 2 companions. Hiding in the shadows, I communicated with Dog 1 through my consciousness and told it to follow Bird 2's orders. Qianling sat in her office, sulking. I pushed the door open. Who's pissed off our beauty this time? She pouted. Who else? Forget him. I need to be comforted. She spread her arms out. I laughed, scooped her up, and set her on the desk. Then I'll have to comfort you properly. For the inheritance fight, he keeps coming around and pestering me, just so the family can see. Why is this guy so disgusting? I kissed her. If you don't look out for yourself, the heavens and earth will destroy you. This guy's got a clear goal. That's actually something in his favor. His methods just aren't up to par. She let out a soft moan. If it were you, what would you do? If it were me, it'd be simple. Same as now. Just cook the rice before anyone can stop me. You're the worst. No sense of decency at all. She wrapped her arms around me. But that shameless side of you is exactly what I love. Downstairs, Yin Hung had finished eating. Seeing that the person he wanted to see never appeared on the 2nd floor, he wasn't disappointed. He just stood up and headed for the exit. Qianling picked up her tea and took a big sip, shooting me a glare. Just kill me already. I chuckled and lit a cigarette. You're so beautiful. How could I not give it my all? Smooth talker. Woof woof woof. Damn dogs, get lost. Ow. Qianling hurried to the window, threw it open, and looked down. I stood upstairs, watching the show below. Yun Hing had a dog clamped down hard on his arm. He kicked another one flying and grabbed a third by the head with a backhand. The guy definitely had skills. My eyes narrowed, and my consciousness moved. A dog darted out from the alley and chomped down on his thigh, drawing blood on the spot. Yun Hung roared in rage. "You're all dead." But just as he was about to strike, the dog biting him turned and ran, gone in a blink. He froze, forgetting even the one still on his arm, and by the time he came to his senses, that one had bolted too. The one playing dead on the ground scrambled up and took off after them. I took a deep drag on my cigarette. I'd seen it clearly. This guy was a trained fighter, physically stronger than the beefiest laborer. This was my first time seeing this kind of powerhouse. Sure, he was nothing compared to me, but he was impressive by normal standards. Qianling quickly shut the window, covering her mouth to giggle. Serves him right. Let's see him try to come out for a while now. I laughed and sat down in a chair. He's trained in martial arts? A family with centuries of legacy like his. It'd be weird if they didn't. Today he just got unlucky. If he'd had his bodyguards with him, no way he'd have taken those hits. She looked delighted. Peace and quiet at last. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. Chuizhu pushed the door open. Manager, that young Master Yun looks awful, covered in blood. He's waiting downstairs for someone to pick him up. Serves him right. Give him a bottle of cooking wine to disinfect. Just don't let him die here. That'd really piss him off. Chuizhu covered her mouth, laughing too. Qianling waved her off. Just keep an eye on things. Chuizhu smiled and headed out. I stubbed out my cigarette. I'm heading back. If anything comes up, have Chuizhu call me. Or you can call yourself. Qianling stood up and smoothed out my clothes. Okay, a lot of people are probably going to show up soon. Better you leave first. I kissed her, turned, and walked out. Seeing the hallway was empty, I used my powers and vanished. Meanwhile, Dog One was bickering with its two little brothers. I set 5 roast chickens down next to them. Boss, roast chicken. Humph. I told you, there'd be food after the job. Eat up. Dog One tilted its head back and started tearing in two. I told them to move somewhere else once they'd eaten their fill, so no one would find them and put them down. Back at the restaurant, I saw Yun Hung being loaded into an ambulance, flanked by 2 young men and an elderly man. From the way they walked, they were all trained fighters. I'm mulled it over. I wonder if there are other legacies out there. After thinking it over, I decided not to follow. I knew too little about these families, and since I hadn't been exposed, better to just observe a while longer. The next morning, Chun Dajuan brought his men to the courtyard. I looked them over, found no issues, enslaved them one by one, then sent them on their way. Half a month flew by. Chun Dajuan was sitting in my tea room again. Master Qin, these 20 men are 100% trustworthy, no different from my original 5. From here on out, we'll split up and work separately. I took a drag from my cigarette. Find a warehouse outside the city and start lining up supplies during this stretch. Barring anything unexpected, I'll be handling the cafeteria procurement for the steel mill by the end of next month. Everything gets sold at plan quota prices. I'll also funnel supplies to you. All the paperwork and settlements go through you guys. When you recruit new people down the line, don't mention me, and don't touch the money yourself. Don't worry, Master Qin. I told them a long time ago, nobody's allowed to mention you, ever. I pulled out a package and handed it over. There's 10 grand in there. Consider it startup capital for buying up supplies. Your salary is 50 a month and 40 each for the 20 men. Today happens to be the end of the month, so head back and pay them first. And remember, no passing off inferior goods as premium. Yes, sir. Chun Dajuan jumped up, fired up. The butler saw him out. A dozen or so of his guys were waiting outside, and they swarmed him the moment he stepped out. We'll talk when we get back. The whole crew headed out of the alley in high spirits. Zhang Dazhu caught sight of this and turned back to his house. Sis, I want to go see Brother Zhang. Zhang Dan heard him out. Some folks in the alley have already tried. In the end, all they got was a suggestion to open a restaurant, and people even came to blows over that. Zhang Dazhu scratched his head. I don't want to do manual labor anymore. I want to make something of myself too. Zhang Dan looked at her brother, hesitated for a moment, then gave a firm nod. Okay, I'll go with you. I can go by myself. I'd better tag along. The butler opened the door and asked with a smile, What can I do for you too? Zhang Dazhu spoke carefully. I'm here to see Brother Zhang. One moment, please. I'll go announce you. Zhang Dan looked around the courtyard with curiosity. She'd long heard that a capable man had returned to the alley, but she'd only ever seen me from a distance. Zhang Dazhu whispered, Sis, you can tell just by looking that Brother Zhang is a big shot. If he's willing to take me on, I'm bound to make it. A Fu came back. Please, come in. It was the siblings' first time inside. They took it all in with wonder, eyes full of longing. I watched as Shirtu walked in with a good-looking woman. Too bad she had a red birthmark the size of a ping-pong ball on her face. I smiled and waved them over. Shirtu, come sit. This your sister? Zhang Dan steadied herself. Yes, I'm Shida's sister, Zhang Dan. Sorry to bother you, Director Qin. She was watching me carefully, and when she didn't see any disgust in my eyes, a small warmth stirred in her heart. I poured them tea. Just call me by name. Make yourselves at home. Come have some tea. Zhang Daju stood there stiffly, not taking a seat. Brother Zhang, I saw Chun Dajuan and the others. I want to work for you too. Please, give me a shot. Zhang Dan chimed in. Brother Zhang, Shida's always been a simple, honest boy. It's just the two of us in our family, looking out for each other. We know you're an important man. I'm begging you. Please give my brother a chance. I gave them a gentle smile. Sit down, let's talk. Only then did the two of them sit down awkwardly. The steel mill's overstaffed right now. It'd really be tough to slot you in there. Zhang Daju got anxious. Brother Zhang, I'll work the gate. Anything. I've made up my mind about you. Sticking with you, I'll definitely do better than I am now. I took a sip of tea and quietly sized up Zhang Dan. If you look past that birthmark, this girl was genuinely striking. She could hold her own next to Lung Yuning or Qianling. Her figure wasn't half bad either. Things have been shifting these past few years, and there'll be plenty of opportunities down the road. If I really put you on gate duty, sitting in a guardhouse day after day, where's the future in that? Brother Zhang, I've got a one-track mind, and once I set my sights on something, that's it. When you first came back the year before last, I could tell right away you were somebody big. The storytellers all say, stick with a big shot and you'll make it. Even if it's just watching the gate, I'd be watching the gate for a big shot. Folks would still look up to me. Ha ha, the kid cracked me up. But he wasn't wrong. Even a doorkeeper for the Prime Minister ranks as an official. I might not be at the top yet, but the future? Only up from here. Zhang Dan wasn't laughing. She was stunned by what her brother had said. She'd never imagined her usually quiet brother could put together words like that. Thinking of all the years they'd only had each other, her eyes went red. Because of the birthmark on her face, she'd been shunned. She hadn't wanted to settle for just any marriage either. Her brother had always shielded her, refusing to let her go out and work, terrified she'd be laughed at. She drew in a deep breath. Brother Zhang, shit is right. All these years, my face has held him back too long. I've already given up on marriage. If you don't mind how I look, I'll work myself to the bone for you the rest of my life. Just give Shirtu a chance. Sis, why won't you get married? Once I save up enough for a dowry, I'll find you a good family, I swear. Zhang Dan wiped the corner of her eye. Even if I got married, hearing gossip day in and day out would change a person. A whole lifetime is a long time. I'm fine like this. I'll get to watch you get married and have kids. Watching these two put on their sob story, I felt a bit helpless and lit a cigarette. The two of them heard the sound and stopped talking, lowering their heads to wipe away their tears, embarrassed. Zhang Dan looked apologetic. I'm sorry, Brother Zhang. We didn't mean to pressure you. If you think Shirtu isn't a good fit, we won't push it. I nodded. Shida's heart is in the right place. And like you said, a lifetime is long. Not everyone cares about looks. You're bound to meet someone who'll treat you right. Hearing that, Zhang Dan flushed and lowered her head without a word. I didn't push it further and took another drag. So what can Shirtu do? Zhang Daju got excited, then thought for a second and his face fell. I've just got brute strength. He lifted his head. But I'm willing to learn. Whatever you tell me to do, Brother Zhang, I'll give it my all. A single thought, divine power, enslave, activated. Another point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness. Enslavement successful. Go find Dajuan. Tell him I sent you, and just work with them. Zhang Daju shot to his feet, thrilled. Thank you, Brother Zhang. Thank you, Brother Zhang. Zhang Dan was overjoyed too. Thank you, Brother Zhang. I'll go tidy up your rooms right now. I quickly waved her off. No need for that. Shirtu, if you can't find them, just wait around the alley for a few days. I'll do whatever you say, Brother Zhang. You go on ahead. Zhang Daju scratched his head. Sis, I'll head out and check first. Go on. Zhang Dan nodded. Once she saw her brother leave, she got a little shy. Brother Zhang, do you have any laundry that needs doing? I'll come by every day from now on to tidy up. A Fu handles all that. No need to trouble yourself. Just head on home. No way. I said I'd work myself to the bone for you the rest of my life. I don't break my word. I gave a helpless laugh. So now you're stuck on me? Zhang Dan broke into a smile. Yep. Unless you throw me out, my mind's made up. I looked at her. I didn't live here anyway. If she wanted to clean, let her clean. I nodded. All right, come by once in a while to tidy up. You don't need to cook, just wipe things down. Great, I'll get started right now. Zhang Dan headed out, all smiles. Watching her walk away, I felt a pang of regret. Such a beautiful girl, ruined by that huge red birthmark. Zhang Dan asked the butler where the cleaning supplies were and got busy outside. My consciousness slipped into the farm space. I looked at the mountains of grain, vegetables, meat, cooking oil, and fruit piled up in the warehouse. Stuff from the farm tasted a whole lot better than anything on the outside. Let everyone eat well for once. Zhang Dan finished the main room and was about to move on to the other wings when I called out to her. Don't bother with those. Nobody lives there. It'd just be a waste. From now on, only clean the main house. Houses go to ruin if they're left alone. Let me do them once a month. I smiled. Sure, that works. Skip it today, though. Going forward, I won't have Ah Fu open the gate for you. Head home and get some rest. Okay. Zhang Dan answered and turned to leave. Master. Talk. That guy who got bit by the dog went back to the restaurant. Listening to Bird 2's report, I found it amusing and took a sip of tea. Keep a close eye on him. The second he tries anything funny, let me know. Yes, sir. Tea in hand. I mulled it over. Should I just kill this Yunheng? He kept sniffing around my woman. I shook my head. I'll need to find the right moment. Can't let it come back on Qianling. Meanwhile, Chen Dajuan looked at Zhang Daju. Sure to. Since Master Qin sent you over, you'll stick with us for now. Brother Jun, what should I do? Don't worry about it. I'll figure something out later. Here's this month's pay. Zhang Daju stared at the 40 yuan being handed to him, stunned. But I haven't done anything yet. Chen Dajuan pressed it into his hand. Everyone got some. Master Qin said everyone gets paid this month. From now on, wages go out on the last day of every month. Zhang Daju held the money in disbelief. He'd break his back hauling sacks and still couldn't earn 40 yuan. And here he was, getting a full month's pay on day one? His gratitude toward me went through the roof. The beauty of the enslavement power was that it didn't tamper with the enslaved person's thinking. They wouldn't betray me, and the thought of betrayal would never even cross their minds. Seeing her brother back, Zhang Dan asked with a smile. Sure too. How'd it go? Zhang Daju pulled out the 40 yuan. Sis, my first day, and they already paid me a month's wages. Said payday's the last day of every month from now on. That much? What did you do? Zhang Daju shook his head. Nothing. They said they'd figure out my job later. Right about then, Chen Dajuan arrived at my place. Master Qin, did you send Shirtu over? Yeah, he's trustworthy. Just bring him along on the jobs. Got it. I'll take him with me tomorrow. He came in today, so I gave him a month's pay too. I nodded. Handle it however you see fit. I was pleased with how careful he was. The next morning I got up, stretched, and mentally pinged the system to check in. Ding, monthly check-in complete. Congratulations to the host on receiving voice transmission technique, rolling mill logistics dirt, mana times 10 wisps. Streams of memories flooded into my mind, and my eyes lit up. Mana finally has other uses. Voice transmission technique. I could use mana to send information directly into a target's mind. The range depended on my cultivation level. Right now, it maxed out at 1 kilometer. I love this one. Down the line, when I brought people like Iron Fist under my control, passing along orders would be a breeze. Then there was rolling mill logistics dirt. From the back kitchen to the offices, every single person's dirty laundry poured into my head. Even down to who'd swiped an extra green onion. It was all logged. I got up and headed to the farm space to wash up. Now that I had dirt on everyone in logistics, I could operate even more comfortably. I wasn't power hungry, but I sure as hell wasn't going to let anyone play me for a fool either. After breakfast, I told the butler I was heading out and rode over to the guest house. Lung Yuning had just arrived too. We headed upstairs together. Qianling ran into some trouble a few days ago. I froze. What kind of trouble? One of her admirers got bit by a dog outside the restaurant. She's been holed up there ever since, too scared to go home. Lung Yuning was in a great mood. She wrapped her arms around me, grinning. Good news, right? I was speechless. I pinched her nose. You're such a kid. What's the big deal? Lung Yuning leaned into my chest. That Yunheng had it coming. Qianling doesn't even like him, but he keeps showing up and hounding her every day. Everybody knows what he's after, and he still has the nerve to keep at it. Why won't she go home? Her family wants to come visit. She's dodging them, so she just stopped going home altogether. I nodded. Good thing I hadn't gone over and killed him yesterday. That would have dragged Qianling into a mess for sure. I lifted Lung Yuning up onto the desk. How many big families are there in the capital? Who's connected to who? Fill me in. Why the sudden interest? Just curious. Come on, tell me. Gently. Okay, I'll talk. Lung Yuning held on to me and started whispering in my ear. There were quite a few clans with lineages going back centuries or even 1,000 years. In the capital alone, there were 8. Bai, Mo, Yun, Gui, Shun, Huangpu, Xikong. The Bai family specialized in traditional Chinese medicine, particularly the tough cases. Their people were scattered across the country, most of them working in hospitals saving lives. The Mo family were masters of architecture, astronomy, and mechanical craftsmanship. Some of their people taught at universities. The Yun, Gui, Shun, Huangpu, and Xikong families were all business clans. They ran nothing domestically, but had extensive holdings overseas. That's only 7. There's one more, but they're super mysterious, the Wu family. Lung Yuning didn't know much either. She only said the family was extremely secretive, kept to themselves, and most of them didn't even live in the city. Rumor had it they practiced witchcraft, but who really knew? How come your family and the Qian family aren't on the list? We're not in their league. Our lineage doesn't go back nearly as far. Fair enough. A plan was forming in my head. Competitors in the same trade rarely share the same interests. As long as I kept a close watch on those 5 business families, I was bound to find an opening. As for the Wu family, no one even knew where they were. Even if I did know, I wouldn't dare poke around blindly. Who knew what kind of tricks they had up their sleeves? Lung Yuning clung to me tightly. After a while, her body went limp. Phew, I've got to get out of here, or I'm going to die on top of you. I laughed and gave her a squeeze. Even if you ran to the ends of the earth, I'd still track you down. She rolled her eyes at me, rested against my chest for a bit, and then we started gathering our things. I sat down in a chair and lit a cigarette. Suddenly, one of the bird-shaped points of light in my mind flickered out. I froze. That's serious? All I'd done was send a sparrow with a buddy to nose around the Yun family for some intel. It had barely been any time at all, and it was already gone? Lung Yuning took a sip of water and reminded me. These families may not hold official positions, but their connections run deep, and they've all made significant contributions in the past. Try to avoid dealing with them if you can. I took a drag on my cigarette. Got it. I was just curious. Now that I know, I've lost interest. Your head's full of schemes all day long. Who knows what you're thinking? Why don't you crawl into my stomach and be a tapeworm? Then you'd know everything. Ugh, you're disgusting. Get out, get out. I need to work. She shoved me toward the door. All right, I won't bother you. I laughed and headed back to my own office. Xiaoran followed me in. Director, let me pour you some tea. Good girl. Hee, of course. I've got to take good care of you. I propped my legs up on the desk. You want something from me, don't you? She flashed me a sweet smile. You're so smart. Cut the flattery. Spit it out. She brought the tea over and set it down. Living at home with Hijia, we get nagged every single day. Could you get us a dorm room? I looked her over. You're not exactly young anymore. Why not just find someone and settle down? I refused to settle. It's got to be someone I actually like. She stepped closer and grabbed my hand. You're the best. Help us out, please. Fine. I'll give you 2 a room. Have Lulan arrange it. Awesome. I'm going to go tell Hijia. She spun around and ran off. I chuckled and mentally checked in with Crow about the situation on their end. Master, there are guards at the estate. They won't let birds anywhere near the inner courtyard. I stroked my chin. Then stay outside. Follow them from the shadows and see if you can pick up any intel. Yes, sir. I picked up the tea and took a sip. Won't even let a bird through, huh? These families really are something else. Inside the office of Lu Liangong, head of logistics at the steel mill, sat 2 chubby, jolly middle-aged men. Brother-in-law, are you really stepping down? Everyone knows how formidable that Director Qin is. If he decides to dig up old dirt, we're done for. Lu Liangong rubbed his temples. I'll go feel him out. I've got no choice but to step down this time. From now on, you 2 need to keep your heads down and just do your jobs. I don't think it's a big deal. His backing may be strong, but he's just a young punk. What does he know about kitchen operations? If he pushes us too hard, we just walk out. What's he gonna do? You think that'll work? Lu Liangong glared at his 2 brothers-in-law. If that's how you're gonna think about it, don't come crying to me when things blow up. Seeing him lose his temper, the 2 shut their mouths. Lu Liangong sighed. You don't know what Director Qin's capable of. If you really cross him, it won't just be about quitting your jobs. You'll be doing time and eating prison rations. At the mention of prison rations, both men went pale. Brother-in-law, you'd better go talk to him. Worst case, we'll keep our noses clean from now on. Yeah. If it comes down to it, we'll resign right along with you. I was sitting in the guest house office drinking tea when there was a knock at the door. Come in. Lu Liangong walked in with a big smile plastered on his face. Director Qin, you're busy. Well, Director Lu, what brings you by? Have a seat. I stood up warmly to pour him some tea. A phone call would have been enough. You didn't need to come all the way over. Seeing how welcoming I was, he visibly relaxed. Just out for a stroll. This place is looking better and better. That's Director Qin for you. I can't take the credit. It's all thanks to Director Lung's leadership. You're too modest. He pulled out a cigarette and lit one for me with an eager, almost subservient air. Watching his behavior, I had a pretty good idea what he was here for. I'm going to have all the accounts squared away soon. I won't leave any loose ends for Director Qin. I took a drag on my cigarette. It's not a problem. The factory already made it clear. Anything that happened before I took over has nothing to do with me. His expression stiffened. Then he sighed. This seat of mine isn't easy to sit in. I've got to keep everyone happy on all sides. Director Qin, you may not realize it, but there are a lot of people eyeing our factory as a piece of meat. A bit here, a bit there. I can't afford to offend any of them. Now that word's out that I'm stepping down, some folks have been pestering me to set up a dinner between us. I took a sip of tea. Director Liu, I'm not going to interfere with what happened before, but going forward, that depends. Skip the dinner. If they can bring their prices down to the state plan rate, I'd welcome them with open arms. Hearing that, the smile returned to his face. You're absolutely right, Director Chin. But getting that crowd to lower their prices, that's a tall order. I took another drag. I've also heard about your two brothers-in-law. Have them buckle down and do their jobs from now on. Once I take over, I won't dig up anything from the past. I only care about what happens going forward. You know me. I don't have a habit of grabbing power. As long as my own turf runs smoothly and the workers are happy, everything else is negotiable. He nodded eagerly. I'll be sure to pass that along. And if they ever step out of line, you handle them however you see fit. We chatted a while longer, and Lu Liangong left with a smile all over his face. He knocked and came in. Let me tidy up a bit. I looked at her and grinned. Now that you're here, I'm a lot more comfortable. You and your sweet talk. She grabbed the teacup and took it out to wash. Section Chief's son, Director Chin, is inside. A voice called from outside. I looked up and saw Sun Lang walk in with a smile. Old son, you're here. I got up and poured him a cup of tea. He took the tea and sat down. I saw Director Liu just left. Yeah, I was going to look for you if you hadn't come. What's up? Tell me. I've lined up a supplier at state plan prices, enough to cover about a quarter of what the factory needs. Go back and hold a meeting with the purchasers. Starting next month, all cafeteria purchasing goes at plan prices. He lowered his voice. What about the other quarter? I smiled. Low-price suppliers are hard to find, but high-priced ones are a dime a dozen. Leave them hanging for now. My guess is that within 3 months, a whole new batch of state plan goods will hit the market. You and Old Ma keep your eyes peeled. The moment they surface, snatch them up. But if they won't sell to us, they'll just sell to other factories. That's exactly what I want, for them to sell to other factories. Sun Lang couldn't quite wrap his head around it. Director, now I'm confused. Wouldn't that leave us with even less supply? I slowly picked up my teacup. I've stockpiled plenty of ammo on my end. We can hold out. Given enough time, they might not be able to. Their internal ranks are bound to fracture. Since they've all got backing, let them fight it out among themselves. All we have to do is get through the first few months. Sun Lang's eyes lit up. I get it now. This is sitting on the mountain watching the tigers fight. Once they've clashed, some of them are bound to get knocked out. The market's only so big. Every share they lose is a share left over, and we swoop in and take it. I took a sip of tea. Go ahead and order 100,000 sacks first. I'll tell you where to ship them later. The cost can be deducted from next month's delivery payment. Got it. I'll handle it quietly. I pulled a notebook out of the drawer and handed it to him. Inside are some logistics matters. Once the handover's done this month, crack down where you need to. I won't get involved. Just work it out with Old Ma. He flipped through it. All right. I'll get them all in line. From now on, there'll only be one voice in the logistics department, yours. I nodded. I'll recommend you to Director Du for the deputy director position. After that, you'll need to build your own connections. Old Ma will move up a step too. I'll have the factory arrange the deputy section chief spot for him. Understood. After Sun Lang left, He Jiatsai came in. You sure are busy. You think I just play around all day? This is called being dedicated to my work. She rolled her eyes. Yeah, right. Like I'd buy that. I smiled and asked, you find a dorm? She nodded happily. Yep, the room at the end of the hallway in the office building. We'll go back today to pack and move in tomorrow. I pulled out 100 yuan and a stack of ration coupons. Here, take this back for your family. She took it. I'll give them half and bring some more next time I visit. Sure, do what works for you. Sun Lang went back to the purchasing department and made a round through the main office. Ahem, listen up. Next month's purchasing plan has changed. Buy at plan quota prices only, no high-priced goods. Make sure everyone knows, so we don't end up with a pile of stuff next month that the factory can't reimburse. Section Chief, what about the shortfall? Yeah, if we can't fill it, the workers will chew us out. Sun Lang smiled. You've all heard the news. Director Sun retires at the end of the month, and Director Chin will be in charge starting next month. He waved his hand. That's all. Wang Lei, come to my office. Everyone exchanged glances and shut their mouths. Some figured Section Chief Sun wasn't happy about it and was going to lock horns with the new director. Section Chief Sun, you wanted to see me? Sun Lang smiled and pointed to a chair. You've been doing good work lately. Keep it up. Take what I just said seriously. Now get back to work. Oh, okay. I'll do my best. Wang Lei walked out completely confused, and everyone in the room stared at him. News that the steel mill was suspending off-plan purchases next month spread fast through the purchasing agents. Damn it, that Sun guy's trying to butt heads with the new director. Don't screw with my money. Director Liu passed word that the new director Chin refused to go to dinner. Just wait. A factory that big. No way they can hold out. So do we still take the slips next month? Duh. How else are we going to pick up the goods? In several small courtyards, similar scenes were playing out. I did a lap around the guest house and came back to my office. Lu Lan came in with some documents for me to sign. Zhengji, these need your signature. I took them, glanced through, and signed. All right, how's your grandma doing? Much better. With better nutrition, she can cook and tidy up on her own every day. She's got a lot of energy. I nodded. That's good. Come to me anytime if anything comes up. Grandma keeps asking about you. I told her you're busy with work, and she said to take care of yourself. I smiled. I'll go visit her one of these days. Lu Lan happily took the documents and left. I had a few cups of tea, checked the time, then left the guest house and made my way to the antique street. Lu Tong heard the door and called out, "Who is it?" "It's me." The moment she heard my voice, she ran over happily and opened the door. Afterwards, Lu Tong nestled against me with a blissful look on her face. I gave her a kiss. "Just had a meal and you're still not full? Mean. You haven't come by in days. I missed you." I gave her a little pinch. "How things been at home these past few days?" She shifted into a comfier position in my arms. "Pretty good. I tidy up around the house and read every day." That was just her nature. She didn't like running around, and she was content just doing the quiet things she loved at home. I like that about her. I've got someone stationed around here. If you miss me or need anything, just holler outside and word'll get to me quick. I'll come right over. She looked up at me, delighted. "Really? Huh, of course really. Okay, then when I miss you, I'll call out Zhengji." I pinched her nose. Deal. With Lu San gone, I didn't feel right about her going to the shop alone, so I just closed Tingzheng Pavilion for good. I had a meal with her, then left the courtyard. I'd barely biked out onto the street when the spirit detector in my bag reacted. Following its guidance, I spotted an old farmer. I stopped the bike and smiled. "Hey there, old comrade. Mind if we have a chat?" The old farmer looked a little curious at my greeting. "Young comrade, you looking for me? You got something to sell, don't you?" The moment he heard that, he instinctively clutched his chest. "What do you mean?" I smiled and pulled out my work ID. "Relax. I'm a purchasing agent at the steel mill. I buy stuff all the time." He stared at the ID for a while. He couldn't read, but he'd seen work IDs before, and it looked right. His guard came down, and he laughed. "Oh, so that's it. I didn't bring anything else this trip, but if you're looking to buy a lot, you can come out to our village, and I'll show you around." "Sure, I'll come by when I get the chance." "Was there something else you came into town for? Maybe I can help." The old farmer carefully pulled a small cloth pouch out from inside his shirt and handed it over. "I picked this up in the mountains. My kid's getting married, so I figured I'd see if I could trade it for some cash." I sensed it. There was a jade pendant inside. My heart jumped. "How much are you looking for?" 20 yuan, plus 40 industrial coupons. "Don't know if that works." I shook my head. "The places over there won't give you that price." "Then how much can they give?" "Maybe 5 yuan tops. And forget about industrial coupons. That's way too little." The old farmer took the pouch back. "This jade looks pretty nice. You're not trying to cheat me, are you?" I waved my hand. "Cheating you wouldn't do me any good. Running into you today is fate. If you agree, I'll buy it at your price. And when I come out to your village, you help me buy up more stuff." The old farmer heard that, didn't get suspicious, and nodded happily. Sure. When you come out, I'll definitely help you find more." "Deal." I pulled out the money and industrial coupons and handed them over. "Count them." He handed me the jade pendant, took the money, spit on his fingertip, and counted it carefully 3 times before cheerfully tucking it away. "That's right. Well, I'll be off then." I put the pendant away and asked, "Old comrade, which mountain did you pick this up on? Was there anything else there at the time?" "Nope. I thought I'd stumbled onto buried treasure and dug up the whole area, but I didn't find anything else." "I see. All right, take care." I watched him ride off, turning into the alley on his bike, heading home. Afu opened the door. "Boss is back." "Yeah, I'm back." I set my bike down and walked inside. Zhang Dan was sweeping the courtyard and greeted me with a smile. "Welcome back, Zhang. Just tidy up a bit, nothing fancy." "Got it." Inside, I brewed myself a cup of tea and took out the jade pendant. Ding, special ability detected. Absorb it. Absorb. That familiar wheel appeared in my mind again. Looking at the colors, I silently said a little prayer. Start. The wheel began to spin, faster and faster, until the colors blurred together. That's when I called it. Stop. The wheel slowed, the pointer sweeping across the colors, and my heart tightened right along with it. This was already the 3rd energy absorption. It had better cough up something decent this time. The wheel came to a halt. The pointer landed on red. I clenched my fists. Yes, 1 tier higher than last time. Ding, congratulations, host. You've drawn an unranked cultivation technique. Breath concealment. That's it. Right after, a flood of memories poured into my head. I sat down in the chair and slowly absorbed the technique into my mind. It was called breath concealment, and it could hide your true power. Master it fully and karma couldn't trace you. Fate couldn't see you. Just reading the description made my eyes light up, Anything that hides your strength has got to be good. 3 levels total. Level 1 could fool a cultivator 1 major realm above you. Level 2 could fool 1-2 realms above. Level 3 was the real deal. Fate blind, karma untraceable, immune to any form of divination. Even someone 3 major realms above wouldn't see through you. As I thought about it, the mana in my Danteon started circulating according to the technique on its own. Normally that mana just sat there, useless for anything except contracts. Finally, it was starting to feel like actual cultivation. The mana ran through my meridians once, and I noticed each pass left behind a thin trace, coating the meridians like armor. After one full cycle, I tried channeling the mana. A wisp of white light immediately condensed at my fingertip. It can even leave the body. A flick of my finger, and I could shoot mana out. Though I hadn't tested the power yet, didn't want to risk anything reckless. The first 2 levels only hid your realm. The real kicker was level 3. Fate blind, karma unreadable, nobody able to divine me. Just imagining it got me pumped. Each level had a mana threshold. Hit it, and you break through automatically. I did the math. With the system's daily mana rewards, I could break level 2 in a year at most, and level 3 within a few years. Zhang Dan was still tidying up the courtyard, so I got up and went into the back room. A thought later, I was inside the farm space. Facing a tree in the woods, I flicked my finger. A pearl of white mana shot out fast as lightning. Boom. The trunk exploded, and the tree came crashing down with a heavy thud. I was more than satisfied with that. Then I got into a Bajiquan stance and threw a punch, mana pouring into my fist. Crash. A fist-deep dent appeared in the solid rock, and my hand didn't have a scratch. But my mana was already running low. I shook my head. No way to refill it, so I'd better ration. Then I tried the divine ability, Shadow Shift. One step forward, mana instantly drained, and I was already 100 meters away. Only a wisp of mana was still circulating, but I wasn't disappointed at all. If anything, I saw just how terrifying this ability was. Shadow Shift ignored all obstacles. Normally it'd cut your speed in half, but with mana feeding it, not only did it recover the lost speed, it went even faster. If I had enough mana, my speed would be absolutely insane. Half a month flew by. I was standing in a small courtyard outside the city, the room stacked wall to wall with sacks of vegetables, all lined up neat. Mostly 3 items: potatoes, cabbage, and daikon radish. This time of year, anything else meant greenhouse veggies, way more expensive. Boss, that's 30 tons here. Not enough room, the rest is in the village. We'll haul it in when you need it. Good. Keep that tonnage steady. Beginning of the month, everything goes to the steel mill. Understood. Chen Dajuan said excitedly. We've got 80 pigs on order. Butcher M. Keep 2 tons on hand here. Send 1 ton over every day. If it's short, I'll cover the rest. Yes. You go stand watch outside. Chen Dajuan didn't say a word, just headed out and shut the door. A thought, and I swept all the vegetables into my farm space, mixing them with what I'd grown myself. The stuff from my space was way higher quality, so I had to cherry-pick the ugly-looking ones to blend in. Otherwise, people would notice premium goods in the batch, and I couldn't exactly explain that away. Once it was mixed, I used voice transmission to call Chen Dajuan back in. Boss, was that you just calling me? Yeah. From now on, when I come by, I stay out of sight. We'll stay in touch under the radar. The awe in Chen Dajuan's eyes deepened. Yes, sir. Go on. Handle things the usual way. At the factory, deal with Director Sunday. Once he left, I used Shadow Shift and vanished. 1 minute later, I was home. 20+ kilometers in that little time. That's what speed looks like paired with mana. My mana was tapped out again, and that was my current limit. Once my daily mana kept growing, I'd be able to cover longer distances. In the big conference room at the steel mill, Feng Jiahui sat at the front table. By decision of the steel mill, Comrade Qin Zheng is hereby appointed Director of Logistics and head of the guest house. Clap, clap, clap. Comrade Sun Lang is appointed Deputy Director of Logistics. Plenty of folks in the audience were looking at me, eaten up with envy. A logistics director this young. The steel mill had never seen one since its founding. After the meeting broke up, people came over one after another to congratulate me. The moment I took office, all those supplier cronies were lined up waiting to watch me fall on my face. They all figured Sun Lang had been the one blocking the high-priced purchases. They were betting I couldn't source the goods and wouldn't last as director. Before dawn, several trucks from the steel mill pulled up at the little courtyard outside the city. Chen Dajuan handed out cigarettes with a smile. Have a smoke, take a breather, boys. We'll have you loaded up in no time. All right, make it quick. The original plan was 30 tons, but I took a look at how things were at the factory and bumped it up to 50. The extra 20 tons I hauled to the courtyard overnight. 3 tons of pork, enough to feed the factory for 3 or 4 days. There were spies staked out around the steel mill. The moment the trucks rolled back in, all eyes were on the cargo. They counted it up and hustled back to report. Chen Dajuan brought a few of his guys into the factory, every one of them buzzing with excitement. Not that they'd never been inside before, but never like this, out in the open, with tens of tons in one shot. Once everything was unloaded, they took the paperwork to the finance office. 50 tons of vegetables sold for 5,000 yuan, 3 tons of pork for 7,200, all at plan quota pricing. If it had been off quota, the price would have doubled. Chen Dajuan cheerfully led his people out. Look sharp, everyone. Let's head back. Meanwhile, in another small courtyard, a middle-aged man was roaring, "Son of a bitch. They dare steal my business. Boss, this is clearly Qin Zheng's doing. Word is, this guy's not someone you want to mess with. He's got serious connections. If you ask me, we should just sell to the other factories instead. Cut off their supply and see who ends up screwed. Check in. Ding. Monthly check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You've received farm space area times 1x, madness pill recipe, mana times 10 wisps. A surge of mana flowed into my dantian. The farm space rapidly expanded, ballooning to over 4,000 mu in the blink of an eye, twice as big as before. A wealth of new information flooded into my head. The madness pill. Take one, and the user goes insane for 7 days, with no detectable cause. Now this is interesting. I stepped into the farm space to wash up and eat, picked out the herbs for the madness pill, set everything up, and left it alone. I made my way to the guest house. Director Qin. Morning, Director Qin. I nodded with a smile. Once inside, I didn't bother switching offices, didn't see the point. He Jia finished brewing the tea. I'll get to work then. Just holler if you need anything. Go ahead. I'd barely sat down when I heard commotion outside. Who are you looking for? This is our young Master Wang. Get your Director Qin out here to greet him, now. I stood up and walked out. What's going on here? He Jiao pointed at a few men in the hallway. These people just barged right in. Well, Director Qin sure puts on airs. The young man leading the group had that cocky, full of himself look about him. Do I know you? Nope, sure don't. Plenty of people would kill to know me. Hell, I usually can't be bothered. Then you've got the wrong guy. I've got no interest in getting to know riffraff. You son of a, you're the first person who's ever dared talk to me like that. Do you have any idea who young Master Wang is? You must be tired of living. The leader jiggled his leg. My dad is. I kicked him square in the chest. Thud. I'm sure as hell not your dad, so quit playing that shit with me. The other two hadn't even processed what was happening before each took a heavy blow to the face, slamming to the floor unconscious. I shook out my hand. Call security. Lock these three up and teach them a real lesson. He Jia, who'd never seen me get physical before, was startled for a second before running off to make the call. The service staff crowded around, murmuring at the sight of 3 men laid out on the floor. First time I've seen the director lose his cool. Didn't know Director Qin could throw down like that. So manly. Head of security Zhao Fei came running with his men. Director Qin, what happened? These 3 unidentified guys came to the guest house harassing the female staff. Take him back and work them over. Anybody comes asking favors, send him to me. Yes, sir. Zhao Fei waved his hand, and his men hauled the 3 unconscious guys off. Qiao Ran's eyes were shining. Director Qin, you're so cool. I smiled and headed back to the office. He Jia and the others followed me in. Won't this cause trouble? What trouble? If I wasn't worried about killing him, I'd have gotten in a few more licks. I lit up a cigarette, not the least bit concerned. He Jia, go tell everyone that these guys were harassing the servers, refused to stop even after being told off, and that's why they got hauled away. What if people ask who exactly they harassed? We've got to protect the girls who got hassled. Can't just go blabbing names around. He Jia looked at me. You're a piece of work, you know that? I'll go now. Qiao Ran asked. What if someone investigates and the story falls apart? So it falls apart. All I need is the justification. Hee, you always have a way. She leaned in against me. I pinched her cheek. One of these days I'll show you what I can really do. I flashed a wicked grin and gave her a kiss. Over at the security office, several guys were taking turns working over the 3 prisoners. You've got to be tired of living, coming to the guest house to hit on our girls. My dad is. Slap. Zhao Fei's hand cracked across his face. I don't give a damn who your daddy is. Gag him and let's really get to work. The 3 had filthy rags stuffed in their mouths. Muffled MMPHS muffled behind them as they shook their heads frantically, eyes wide with terror. The security team took turns on them, beating them until they were begging for mercy, but with their mouths gagged, they couldn't get a single word out. These guys were used to being the ones doing the bullying. They'd never been on the receiving end of anything like this. In a deputy minister's office at some ministry, the secretary knocked and entered. Sir, someone called to say Xiaoqiang got picked up by security at the rolling mill. The man looked up. Did they say what for? They said he was harassing a female server at the guest house and was stopped by the logistics director, Qin Zheng. Get a car ready. I'll go there myself. Yes, sir. When Feng Jiahui got the call from security, he immediately alerted the deputy directors and rushed downstairs. The whole group hurried down, and when they saw the car pulling up to the security office, they jogged over out of curiosity. Zhao Fei and his men were standing guard outside. Wang Weiyan got out of the car and just stood there without a word. Feng Jiaowei ran up with his hand extended. Sir, we had no idea you were coming today. Our apologies. I heard you're doing good work over here. Just came to have a look around. How about we take you to see the workshop? Wang Weiyan waved him off. I hear the security department's been doing outstanding work. Let's take a look in there. Feng Jiaowei and the others felt their stomachs drop. That line meant something had definitely happened. Du Yunfei turned and asked, Chief Zhao, anything going on here today? Reporting to Factory Director Du, we've apprehended 3 hooligans. Wang Weiyan clasped his hands behind his back. Young man, your security department doesn't have the authority to hand down convictions. You can't just go accusing innocent people. Zhao Fei saluted. Reporting, sir, there are witnesses over at the guest house. These 3 were extremely arrogant. They even said that even if they killed someone, no one would dare arrest them. Absolutely out of control. Feng Jiaowei cleared his throat. Chief Zhao, there may be some misunderstanding here. Zhao Fei scratched his head. Director, how about I call Director Qin and have him come explain? Fine, go quickly. The group filed into the security office. There they saw the 3 men bound, gags in their mouths, faces black and blue. When Wang Xiaoqiang saw his father, he latched onto him like a drowning man grabbing a lifeline, fing desperately, tears streaming down his face. He'd never taken a beating like this in his entire life. Normally, he was the one dishing it out. Today, though, he'd walked right into a bandit's den. He hadn't even gotten to say who he was before getting knocked out cold, and when he came to, they'd gagged him and started beating him again. Wang Weiyan's hands, clasped behind his back, clenched tight. So this is how your rolling mill security department operates. Feng Jiaowei hurried to explain. There must be a misunderstanding. He turned and barked, untie them right now. But Li Chang shook his head. Director, these 3 are hooligans. There's a server over at the guest house still in tears. If we let them walk and she comes looking, we won't have any way to answer for it. I smiled to myself. I'd been waiting for this little show all along. I needed the other suppliers to see loud and clear. No matter who you are or who's backing you, if you come here and cause trouble, you'll get your ass beat and still have to pay up. After finishing my cigarette and figuring the timing was about right, I got up and headed back to the security office. Before walking in, I made a point of wiping my forehead, putting on a show like I'd worked hard for this. Director, they finally agreed. 950, not a full 1,000. Du Yunfei nearly cracked up, like the boss cares about 50 bucks? He could tell right away this was a trap I'd set on purpose. Wang Xiaoqiang was still making muffled noises through the gag, shaking his head furiously. I shot a glance at the guy whose eyes were practically shooting flames, then turned to the security team. Everything's settled. Go on, let him go. Zhao Fei didn't move. He looked to Feng Jiaowei. Feng waved his hand. Let him go. Inside, he was pretty pleased. This new security chief was solid, knew how to follow orders. The moment the rag came out of his mouth, Wang Xiaoqiang came at me swinging, teeth bared. You motherfucker. Smack. Everyone froze. I let my hand drop and said flatly, you all saw that. This punk's got some nerve, screws up, and still has the balls to cuss people out. You son of a bitch, you dare hit me? I'll kill you today. Enough. Wang Weiyan's face went dark. You haven't embarrassed yourself enough already? Dad, he's framing me. We didn't do anything. You have to believe me. I shook my head. Fine. I'll go get the witnesses. Let's take this to the authorities. Wait. Wang Weiyan took a deep breath. Director Qin, the boy hasn't been properly disciplined. I'll deal with him thoroughly when we get home. Let's leave it at this for today. After Feng Jiaowei and the others saw them off, they turned back to me. Little Qin, you've really made an enemy of Deputy Director Wang this time. Yeah, that slap of yours. I thought he was going to blow a gasket. I put on a helpless face. What choice did I have? I'm not his dad. Why should I be the one going easy on him? Du Yunfei pointed a finger at me. You kid, you're something else. We chatted a bit more, then everyone dispersed. I headed back to the guest house in a great mood. He Jia and Xiao Ran followed me into the office. So, how'd it go? Handled. 1,000 yuan in damages. Should be delivered in a day or 2. That much? Xiao Ran's eyes lit up. This is easy money. You beat the guy up and he still has to pay you? He Jia rolled her eyes at her. Easy money, huh? You go try it. Hee, I don't have the chops. Brother Zheng's the real deal. I picked up my teacup smugly, took a sip, then set it down. If someone drops off the money while I'm out, hold on to it for me. Got it. Word about Wang Xiaoqiang spread the same day. Got the full scoop. That Director Qin from the steel mill first beat the guy senseless, then dragged him to the security office and worked him over. In the end, his dad had to show up and cough up $1,000 to bail him out. Wang Xiaoqiang was on his knees crying uncle, and they only let him go after a huge payoff. The story didn't just make the rounds among the second-generation crowd. It blew up in the supplier circles too. Everyone had heard about the ruthless logistics director at the steel mill. Those few suppliers were sweating bullets. They didn't have Wang Xiaoqiang's family connections. If even he got beat down and had to pay up, they'd have zero chance. Boss, what do we do? Find another buyer. The tickets are about to expire. We can't sit on them. Right. It was all money. Once they got their hands on the goods, they could turn around and sell them at double the price. Du Yunfei sat in his office going over the month's books, all smiles. I knew I had you pegged right. High-priced supplies are down to less than a quarter of the total. Good work. This counts as a win for you. I took a sip of tea. As long as you're satisfied, boss. I was worried I couldn't pull it off. Huh, I knew you could. He set the ledger down. Chinese New Year's next month. We need to start prepping the employee bonuses. Any ideas? I waved him off. That's your call. Riding herd on the cafeteria's already wearing me out. Don't drag me into this one. You. All right, I'll have old son handle it. This was what Du Yunfei loved most about me. I never overstepped my lane, but whatever fell under me got done right. And most importantly, I wasn't a stick in the mud. Oh right, can you still get your hands on any flying dragon this year? Yeah. How many do you need? However many. 1 or 2 works. 10 would be even better. Sure. I'll set aside 15 for you. Delivered next month. No problem. Leave it to me. I finished my tea and got up to leave. I'd barely made it back to the guest house office when the phone rang. I picked up. Who's this? Little Qin. It's Lu Wenyuan. Professor Lu. I've been waiting for your call. Still in the capital? Huh. Meetings back to back these last few weeks. Today's the first time I've had a breather. Let me take you out tonight. How about our steel mill guest house? Not tonight. Old Qin already booked a table at Yuebin restaurant. We'll be there at 6. Works for you? Absolutely. See you tonight. After hanging up, I started thinking about what to bring. I've never thought of myself as a good person, but people who've helped me, those debts, I pay back. I sent my consciousness into the warehouse for a quick look. Plenty of check-in rewards, but flipping through them, nothing felt quite right. Finally, my eyes landed on that top-grade tea tree. Better quality than even the mother tree of Da Hong Pao I'd gotten from check-ins. But since it was planted late, I only had about a pound. Then I spotted bundles of mind-clearing incense and figured that was an even better fit. They spent months out in the field on archaeological digs. Insect repellent like this would be a godsend. In the end, I took out every last leaf of the premium tea, packed it into 2 boxes, grabbed a few bundles of incense, and stuffed them into my bag. Yuebin restaurant was as lively as always. The pretty hostess stood at the door. Welcome. As I walked in, I heard Lu Wenyuan looking around. Old Chun, you really went all out today. Chun Shuyuan laughed. Cut it out. If you were really worried about me spending too much, we could have gone to Little Qin's guest house like you suggested. I just didn't want to waste all your good intentions. Welcome, Director Qin. Heads turned throughout the restaurant at the announcement. I put on a pained face. Come on, next time drop the title and name, okay? But you don't come by often, Director Qin. Of course we've got to greet you properly. Right. If you came every day, we wouldn't bother. The waitresses were teasing me. I spotted Lu Wenyuan and walked over quickly. Professor Lu, it's been over 2 years. You're looking as sharp as ever. He looked me up and down for a moment, then smiled. Little Qin, you've really changed. Well, that place I was stuck in was rough. Now that I'm back, I had to shape up somehow. No argument there. He turned to his companion. Old Chun, this is the Qin Zheng I've been telling you about. Don't let his age fool you. When it comes to knowledge, even I have to tip my hat. Chun Shuyuan warmly extended his hand. Little Qin, I've heard old Lu talk about you nonstop. First time meeting in person, and you really do cut a fine figure. Professor Chun, good to meet you. If it weren't for you too, I might still be stuck out in the mountains. I owe you plenty of drinks tonight. Everyone in the restaurant was watching us with keen interest. Director Qin's name was known all over the capital these days, mostly because of the Yuebin restaurant, but many people had only heard of him. Today was their first time actually seeing him in person. Yunheng watched me exchange pleasantries with people, a thoughtful look in his eyes. The 3 of us sat down, and I poured tea for the 2 of them. Professor Lu, how long are you staying this time? I've been in meetings these past few days, and I have another one tomorrow. I'll take the train back the day after. Stay a few more days. I'll show you around. He took a sip of tea. It's almost the end of the year. I've got things to arrange when I get back. It'll have to be next time. Upstairs, Qianling heard I'd arrived and got up to come down, but after a few steps she turned back. She remembered Yunheng was still there. If she came down to keep me company, that guy would definitely hold a grudge. So she gave instructions instead. Xiao Zui, set them up with the best food and drinks. Put it on my tab. Got it, I'm on it. Waitresses carried plates of food to the table one after another. Chun Shuyuan looked curious. We didn't order all this, did we? Suizhu came over with a smile. Director Qin, The manager heard you were here with friends and arranged this specially. I nodded. Thank Manager Qian for me. Lu Wenyuan just assumed the restaurant was doing great business. He had no idea what it meant to have the manager comp your meal. Chun Shuyuan's face darkened though. Xiaoqin, do you come here often? He was completely absorbed in archaeology and didn't know the whole story here, so he assumed I was coming around freeloading all the time. Why else would the manager send over free food? Salaries weren't high in those days, but some folks abused their power to wine and dine on the public's dime, and that was something he couldn't stand. Sueju explained, Sir, you may not know, but Director Qin gave our restaurant some excellent suggestions early on that have kept us packed with customers ever since. So a comped meal from the manager is really nothing. Lu Wenyuan perked up. Young lady, mind telling this old man about it? Only then did Chun Shuyuan realize he'd misunderstood me, and he leaned in to listen too. Sueju recounted everything that had happened since the restaurant opened. Curious guests at the nearby tables listened in too, and by the end, they all had a newfound respect for me. Chun Shuyuan looked apologetic. Xiaoqin, I misjudged you just now. I poured wine for the two professors and smiled. It's fine. Professor Chen, you're an upright man. I can't stand that kind of thing either. Then I turned to Lu Wenyuan. Professor Lu, I heard you were coming, so I prepared a little gift for you. I'll give it to you before you leave. He grinned. A gift for me? Well, I'm telling you up front. If I don't like it, I'm not taking it. Huh, you'll definitely like it. Chun Shuyuan got interested. Xiaoqin, young as you are, you've already learned to keep people in suspense. Come on, let's see it. Now you've got me curious too. I raised my glass. I've got one for Professor Chen as well. You can take them home and check them out at your leisure. First, a toast to you both. Thank you for standing up for me back then. Not far off, Yin Heng was drinking and glancing over at us from time to time. He'd already figured it out. Qian Ling was pulling the old pay a fortune for a horse's bones trick. Comping a single meal wasn't much, but once word got out, it was basically free advertising for the restaurant. Besides, he'd done his homework. Counting today, I'd only been here 3 times. Getting one-upped in front of everyone left him a little sour. He mulled over whether he could work an angle through the restaurant business himself. Even if he couldn't win the girl, at least he wouldn't be stuck looking as awkward as he did now. But watching how well the place was already doing, he realized any suggestions he offered would just be icing on the cake, and they might not even take them. Chun Shuyuan took a sip of wine. Xiaoqin, our archaeology department does a lot of field work. We often end up going into the mountains. If we ever need one, would you be able to guide us? I smiled and refilled their cups. If you really need me, just call anytime. Lu Wenyuan objected. Xiaoqin has a job now. You'd have him take time off to go trekking through the mountains with you. Huh, I forgot about that. Chun Shuyuan picked up his glass. Going into the mountains has always been the toughest part of archaeology for us. In summer there are venomous insects everywhere, and in winter the conditions are brutal. The 3 of us drank. Lu Wenyuan laughed. I still think back to that time Xiaoqin took us into the mountains. Good food and drink every day. It was the most relaxing fieldwork trip I've ever had. The gift I prepared for you this time includes something for repelling insects, I said. It can't drive them all off, but it'll make things easier out there. Both of them got interested. Give us a hint. Yeah, let's see it. Let me just tell you about it. You can try it out when you get home. It's called Xingshan incense. I learned it from the mountain folk. It's complicated to make, all traditional herbs, with the main ingredient being a 50-year-old wild ginseng root. It sharpens the mind, improves sleep. The insect repelling and air purifying are just side effects. Lu Wenyuan was shocked. That's incredibly precious. A 50-year-old wild ginseng root doesn't come cheap. Chun Shuyuan was stunned too. No wonder it has so many uses. What a shame it's so rare. Otherwise, if it were widely available, it'd be a godsend for people in our line of work. I poured them another round. No matter how precious, it's meant to be used by people. Here's another toast to you both. Bottoms up for me. Drink as much as you like. Ha, cheers. Once we'd eaten and drunk our fill, the 3 of us stepped out of the restaurant. I took out the gifts. Professor Lu, Professor Chun, this is the Xingshan incense. Try it when you get back. And this box contains mountain tea I picked myself. It's got a nice flavor. Hope you enjoy it. Xiaoqin, that's very thoughtful of you. Well, I won't be shy about accepting it then. After a few more parting words, I watched the 2 of them get on a rickshaw and leave, then pushed my bike and rode home. When Yunheng saw me leave just like that, he thought even less of me. When I got home, Shitu called out, "Boss is back." I noticed Shitu's sister, Zhang Dan, was still there and walked over curiously. "How come you haven't gone home yet?" "Since Jingji is back, I figured I'd tidy up a bit more while I'm here. You don't need to work that hard. Go home and rest. Let me make you a cup of tea first, then I'll head out." She ran inside to brew tea. I went in, hung up my coat, and sat down. Zhang Dan brought over the tea. "Jingji, here's your tea. I'll be heading home now. Go on." I picked up the cup, blew on it gently, and took a sip. I'd originally planned to make arrangements for Lu Wenyuan tomorrow, but he'd politely declined and I didn't push it. After all, he's getting on in years, and resting after meetings would do him good. Meanwhile, on other fronts, things were already in chaos. Young Master Lu, someone snatched a chunk of our supply this month. Who's got the nerve to steal my business? I've got someone tailing them. We'll have news soon. Once you find the place, torch it. Boss, someone's undercutting us on grain supplies to the motor factory. They dare break the rules? Find them and bring them to me. I sat in my office taking a call from Lung Yuaning. Focus on lodging over there for now. Don't sink too much into the cafeteria. I want to pull some people from the guest house to mentor the new hires. Makes things easier on me. I took a sip of tea. Sure, we've got plenty of people over there anyway. Great, as long as you're on board. I'll have Lu Lan head back to make the arrangements. Come by and check on things when you get a chance. I'll definitely stop by. I smiled and hung up. Lung Yuaning's place wasn't open yet, still in the setup phase. The location was nicer than the steel mill guest house, and bigger too. Xiaoran knocked and came in. Zhengji, I've got this month's books all totaled up. Take a look. I took the file, set it aside, stood up, and scooped her into my arms. That can wait. Today I'm having you for lunch. Oh, I'm so scared. That evening, Chen Dajuan came by the courtyard. Boss, things have been getting lively out there. Several suppliers had their warehouses torched, and the security bureaus launched an investigation. I took a sip of tea. How's your end holding up? I've spotted tails on us too, but I've got 50 brothers on guard. Nobody's getting close. I looked at him. That many guys? You've got room for them? He scratched his head. I rented out a few houses in the area. Someone's on watch around the clock. Anything moves, they mobilize. Good. Down the road. Rent a few more places in the other districts too, just in case. Got it. I'll handle it as soon as I get back. Oh, and boss, people have been sniffing around, trying to figure out our connection, direct and indirect. I've played dumb and brushed them all off. Right now they're wary of your reputation, so nobody's dared make a move. I knew Chen Dajuan and his crew would get flagged sooner or later. Once those people started stirring things up, it could catch the attention of higher-ups. But for now we were fine. We were sourcing everything from the surrounding villages. As long as nobody scrutinized the quantities too closely, we were in the clear. Just watch your back going forward. End of year, everyone gets a 100 yuan bonus. Boss, isn't that too much? Not at all. These guys follow you to make money. No paycheck in sight, and nobody's gonna put their neck on the line for you. Yes, sir. New Year's Day, 1982. I woke up to laughter and chatter outside. I ducked into the farm space to wash up and take care of business, got dressed, and stepped out. Taozi and the others were in the kitchen wrapping dumplings. Zhengji, we're almost done. Go get the firecrackers ready. Yep, we beat you up this time. Ying Tao grinned at me. Then I'll just sit back and eat, I said, then called out. Ah Fu, light the firecrackers in a bit. You got it, boss. The firecrackers cracked through the alley, and like a signal, explosions erupted everywhere around us. I turned and headed into the study to check in with the system in my mind. Ding, annual check-in complete. Congratulations, host, you have received Divine Ability, Teleport Anchor, Farm Space expanded to 10 square kilometers, Flavor Enhancer Recipe, Universal ID X1, Mana X 100 Strength. Now that's an annual check-in. A wave of energy washed over me. I saw a bright orb of light appear in my sea of consciousness, hundreds of times bigger than the enslavement dots, and far brighter. The moment it appeared, white threads extended out from it, linking up all the enslavement dots in my sea of consciousness. Understanding flooded my mind. This orb was the teleport anchor I'd just received. Condensed from the power of law, its function was to teleport objects, using the positions of the enslaved as coordinates. It could only transport inanimate matter, up to 100 tons per use. The most broken part? No usage limit. As long as I willed it, I could use it endlessly. This is awesome. I checked the other rewards excitedly. The flavor enhancer boosted the taste of food with no side effects, healthy and wholesome. The recipe was simple, medicinal herbs plus chicken bone powder. But without the exact proportions, you'd never replicate that flavor. The Universal ID worked worldwide, auto-generated its information, and was 100% authentic. Once I'd absorbed everything, my consciousness entered the farm space. Before me was a massive world, 10 square kilometers, roughly the size of a small county. With this expansion, the rules had changed too. The time ratio went from 1 to 5 up to 110, and the collection radius went from 2 meters to 5. Excellent. I glanced at a glowing card in the warehouse, the Universal ID. Whenever I wanted, one would auto-generate, complete with a photo and info added to the household registry at the location. Once used, it went back into the warehouse card, and only then could I generate another. A reasonable limitation, honestly. It was only usable by me anyway, so having more would have been pointless. Feeling the mana circulating inside me, I was getting close to the second stage of breath concealment. Crack, crack, pop. Firecrackers went off in the yard. I fed the flavor enhancer recipe into the farm and stepped out of the study. Zhengji, food's ready. Coming. I looked at the dumplings on the table. Looks delicious. Let's dig in. Dig in. Taozi and the girls cheered. These girls had bright, cheerful personalities, the kind that rubs off on you. Every time I was around them, my mood lifted. The whole day was lively. He Jia and the others all came over to the courtyard to hang out. Eventually, I got noised out and retreated to the study for some tea. Boss, the place you had us watching, tons of people showed up. Foreigners too. Hearing the crow's report, I responded telepathically. Keep watching. See if you can slip a small bird inside. Yes, sir. I'd been keeping eyes on those 5 merchant families. But they were low-key, rarely went out, mostly stayed home. No domestic business dealings whatsoever. I knew why. They were waiting for the right moment. Once policy opened up, with the deep resources these families had, they could throw together a massive multinational conglomerate overnight. I picked up my tea and took a sip. If there had once been a real gap between me and these families, from this point on, that gap was shrinking to almost nothing. With the teleport anchor, distance was no longer an obstacle. What I needed to do now was spend these next few years developing my own people and send them overseas whenever the opportunity presented itself. In the back residence of the Yun family, a group of young men and women sat in a room. Some wore sharp suits, others long gowns that made them look like princesses. Cousin, I heard overseas that you go wait around for that Qian family woman every day. Plenty of people are laughing at you behind your back for punching above your weight. I heard the same. Everyone says you're kissing up while she's giving you the cold shoulder. Just let it go, man. Yun Heng took a sip of tea. A fair maiden is what every gentleman seeks. Who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll win Qianling over. Persistence is admirable. Just afraid you'll end up with nothing to show for it. If third brother wants to keep at it, let him. He's already lost face. A few more days won't hurt. Listening to all this snark and mockery, Yun Heng was seething inside, but not a trace of it showed on his face. Where'd all these damn birds come from? Take them all down. If they disturb the head of the family, we'll all be punished. The people in the hall heard the commotion and turned to look. A group of servants was going after the birds on the roof, tossing bird-repellent balls up top. The flock caught the scent and scattered. Some foreign intelligence agencies rig birds with listening devices. Don't tell me they're doing it here now too. Yun Heng shook his head with a smile. Don't worry, there's nothing like that around here. If you don't believe me, go check for yourselves, it's all real. A young man in a suit stood up and walked outside. Looking at the ground littered with dead birds, he stepped closer to inspect them, then came back with a chuckle. Guess I was overthinking it. Outside, I shook my head. Forget it. Just keep watch out here. Yes, master. I stood up and walked out. You guys have fun at home. I'm heading out for a bit. I'll be back soon. Once outside, I walked to the side of the courtyard, made sure no one was around, and used Shadow Cloak to vanish. I decided to go take a look for myself. If there really was any danger, with my current strength, I could easily get out unscathed. I didn't use any spiritual power, just in case something went sideways later. I made my way all the way to the Yun family's ancestral estate. The entire alleyway was lined with courtyard homes, mostly 2 or 3 courtyards deep. On the surface, this ancient ancestral estate looked ordinary, but that was far from the truth. The whole alley belonged to the Yun family, occupied entirely by family members and their servants. Along the way, I spotted patrol members, every single one of them trained in martial arts. I slipped easily into the core family quarters and saw a group of people in the main hall, Yun Heng among them. I wandered around the estate, keeping an eye on the spirit detector the whole time. The Yun family had been around this long, so who knew? Maybe they were sitting on some treasure. Even finding one item would make the trip worth it. I passed through the main hall to the back, where I saw a group of people sitting in the study discussing their overseas businesses. They really do have a lot of holdings. What impressed me most was the level of control. The family head was in China, but if any of the overseas relatives had ambitions of their own, they could easily break away. Out of sight, out of reach, who could really keep tabs on them? I wandered around, but the spirit detector never reacted. I couldn't even find the Yun family's treasure vault, which was strange. After hundreds of years, how could they not have a hidden vault? After searching everywhere and finding nothing, I glanced at the crowd in the main hall. Well, since I was already here, I might as well make a mess of things. I slipped into Yun Heng's shadow, sensed his body, and dropped a madness pill straight into him. He didn't notice a thing, just picked up his tea, took a sip, and the moment he set the cup down, his expression went blank. He shook his head. In his eyes, everyone in the room had turned into dogs. His face darkened instantly. Somebody, beat these dogs to death for me. Even as he shouted, he lunged at the man beside him. Everyone in the hall froze. The young man next to Yun Hung didn't even have time to react before taking a heavy blow to the face. Bang! He crashed through tables and chairs and passed out cold on the spot. Everyone else was stunned. Are you out of your mind? Yun Hung had no idea what was happening. In his eyes, he was surrounded by a pack of dogs about to lunge at him any second. I watched from the sidelines. Hey, blame yourself for chasing after my woman. I didn't send him straight to the grave. I just let him stay crazy for a few days. I figured that was already merciful. The Yun household was thrown into chaos. Even the people talking business in the study came running out. The family head, Yun Guanhai, looked at the wrecked hall and his deranged grandson, his eyes full of thought. He couldn't understand how his grandson had snapped so suddenly. Restrain Hung first. Yes, sir. Only after the order did the servants dare to move. Yun Heng's eyes were bloodshot as he thrashed wildly. Kill these dogs. Now. Somebody. One servant knocked him out with a chop to the neck. What just happened? I watched from the shadows, wanting to see if the Yun family had any way to deal with it. Master, the third young master suddenly attacked the little young master, saying everyone in the room was a dog. An elderly man stepped up and took Yun Heng's pulse, then shook his head. Strange, there's nothing wrong with the third young master's body. Yun Guanhai stared at his unconscious grandson for a long moment. Examine everything Hung has eaten or touched. No one is to leave. Yes, sir. Seeing them send Yun Hung off to the hospital for tests, I left the Yun ancestral estate somewhat disappointed. Did I overestimate them? Refusing to give up, I wandered around the area for a bit longer, but still found nothing. It's got to be hidden somewhere else. But my little birds had been watching for a while now, and the Yun family patriarch hadn't gone anywhere else. Where else could they be hiding it? I left the Yun family and headed for a few other households. First was the Shun family nearby, also a great house with centuries of heritage, though whether they had any connection to Shinwan-san, I couldn't say. I started from the outer areas. Not only did the detector fail to react, there wasn't even a hidden chamber where anything could be stored. I combed through the Shun residence inside and out twice. Nothing. Still not willing to give up, I hit up several other households, checking one by one. Same result. No vault, and not a single item with any energy to it. None of these families had anything particularly special going on either. I was starting to think I'd been way too cautious before. Looks like I really did overestimate these families. Just as I was about to head home in disappointment, the light on the spirit detector lit up. My eyes lit up, and I raced off in the direction it indicated. This was the ancestral estate of the Seacone family, the last of the 5 merchant families. I hadn't bothered with the Bai and Mo families. Those two were too simple. They lived in a small courtyard home, guarded by a few elders, with the rest of the family scattered across the country. Once I'd learned about them, I actually had a lot of respect for them. One taught and educated, the other healed the sick. Worthy of admiration. I burrowed underground, traveled over 20 meters, and entered a basement vault. It was packed with antiques and gold bars, along with rows of shelves lined with boxes. There were even 200-year-old ginseng roots, and plenty of other treasures. I didn't touch any of it. I walked straight to one particular shelf. There was a box on it, and I could sense that inside was an animal tooth. Huh, what's this? With a flick of thought, I sent the item into my storage space and wiped away any trace of the box. I checked the spirit detector. No reaction. I channeled my power and vanished from the vault. The Seacone family had no beef with me, so there was no need to clean them out. But this find had my full attention now. I ordered the crow to have the little birds keep watch on these families around the clock. Maybe I could still track down their vaults. I appeared beside my own house and strolled back home. Boss is back. Yeah. I was in a good mood. The trip hadn't been a waste. He Jia and the others were bustling around in the kitchen. Zhengji, you're back. Dinner's almost ready. I'll call you in a bit. All right, no rush. I smiled and stepped into the study, then pulled out the tooth. Ding, special energy detected. Absorbing will grant 1 lottery draw. Absorb. I didn't rush to absorb it. I took a closer look first. The tooth was white as jade, about as thick as a middle finger, and warm and smooth to the touch. Could it be the tooth of a spirit beast? I thought it was a real possibility. After thinking it over, keeping it wouldn't do me any good. A lottery draw was more worthwhile. Absorb. The tooth disappeared. Once again, that massive, ancient will appeared in my mind. After a few tries I was used to it, and with a thought, I set it spinning. Come on, system, give me something good. It's the new year. Hit me with a surprise. After a moment, I sent out a mental command. Stop. The wheel slowed down. I locked my eyes on the arrow as it swept past one high-tier zone after another. If you won't give me purple, at least give me gold. But the pointer ended up landing on the yellow zone. I shook my head, disappointed. Ding, congratulations, host. You've drawn product from the tech world, latest AI device times 1. AI. My consciousness dove into the warehouse to check. Inside the warehouse, a massive command center had appeared. Below the giant screen was a row of equipment. No buttons, just screens everywhere. Totally sci-fi. This gear didn't even need electricity. It ran on wind and solar power. Now I was intrigued. I stepped into the farm and generated a new building next to the house, then moved the equipment inside. The moment the device appeared, the instruments started flashing and the screens lit up. Initiating master recognition protocol. At the sound of the mechanical voice, a beam of light scanned me from head to toe. A woman appeared on the screen, dressed in a sharp lady's business suit, a killer figure, and stunningly beautiful. Almost too beautiful to be of this world. She smiled and said, "Please give me a name, master." I looked at her. "From now on, you'll be called Yaoji." Yaoji greets her master. "All right, what can you do?" "Master, I can automatically connect to the world's networks and handle many things for you." I was speechless. There was no internet in this era. That was still a good 10 plus years away. "There's no internet out there yet. I'll come find you when I need it." "Master, I can also help you analyze things. Just put this on, and you can communicate with me through your thoughts." A silver ring appeared on the console. Curious, I picked it up. The design was simple, with a nice pattern. I slid it onto my finger. It felt like a needle prick, and then a sultry voice echoed in my mind. "Master, can you hear me?" "Yeah, I can hear you." "You don't need to speak out loud, master. Just communicate through your thoughts." I glanced at the ring, then back at the screen. "Unless I call your name, don't bother me." "Yes, master. When I want you to analyze something, do I have to explain it bit by bit?" "No need. As long as you call me, I can view things through your retina, analyze automatically, and provide solutions to your satisfaction." I nodded. "Not bad. All right, I'm heading out." Leaving the farm, I looked at the ring on my hand, took it off, and slipped it into my pocket. Mental link. Yaoji. No response. Got it. Only works when I'm wearing it. I put the ring away in the warehouse. Walking around with a ring like this out in public wouldn't exactly be convenient. A few days later, in the manager's office at Yuebin Restaurant, Qianling sat happily in my lap. Hee, that clingy leech actually went crazy. His family shipped him overseas for treatment. He won't be bothering us anymore. I gave her a little pinch. His family's been around forever. They can't even cure something like that. You think an old family lineage means they're all powerful? They've got deeper roots, sure, but they're not gods. They don't know everything. Qianling shot me a look, then smiled. "Oh, by the way, remember that Wang Xiaoqiang guy you beat up? His family's about to be in big trouble." "What happened?" "Those guys shuffling supplies around before New Year got way too rowdy. Caught the attention of the higher-ups. They've finished investigating and are ready to move in and clean house any day now." I lit a cigarette. That's actually good news. The price of supplies should come down a bit after this. Money makes the world go round. It probably won't stay quiet for long. Someone else will pop up sooner or later. Knock, knock, knock. Qianling got up and perched on the desk. "Come in." Suizhu pushed the door open. "Manager, Yuechi is downstairs having dinner with her classmates." "That girl's here? I'll go check on her." Qianling smiled. "You hang out for a bit. I should get going too. I'll come back in a few days." I stubbed out my cigarette and stood up. After leaving the restaurant, I found a quiet spot to reappear, then rode my bike to the guest house. Director Qin. I headed upstairs. "Jia, everything okay at work?" "All good," she replied, standing up and following me into the office to make tea. I sat down and picked up the phone. "Old son, the higher-ups are about to crack down on some people. Keep an eye out. Supplies within the state plan should start flowing again." I hung up as Jia set the tea down. "Who's getting cracked down on?" I smiled. "The guy who got beat up last time. Some folks have been getting too cocky lately." "Good. Saves us the trouble later. Anyone who dares mess with me is already 6 feet under. Look at you, big shot." "All right, I'm getting back to work. Holler if you need anything." "Go on." I picked up the newspaper and started flipping through it. In March, the higher-ups had passed a major institutional reform plan, streamlining overlapping departments on a huge scale. If the top brass was doing this, the lower levels sure weren't getting spared. The steel mill was going through reforms too, cutting staff across many departments. Logistics didn't escape, and the procurement department was first on the chopping block. There'd been way too many people to begin with, each employee only handling a tiny amount of purchasing per month. I'd been fed up with it for a while. I took the chance to cut 2/3 of them, reassigning them to the workshops for production work. Some of the disgruntled ones just quit outright to go into business for themselves. They had supply connections and wanted to strike out on their own. I handed the small cafeteria's supply operation straight over to Chen Dajuan. It was so easy for him to move product these days. Now that the higher-ups were cracking down, planned supplies were flowing much more freely. Aside from a batch of game meat, I stopped supplying anything else. Whatever Chen Dajuan and his crew brought in, they delivered. "Boss, we're not making much money these days. Should I let some people go?" I waved him off. "No need. It's going to get busy again soon. Supply shortages would return before long." Money makes the world go round. Once the heat died down, people would come crawling back out. Chen Dajuan didn't quite get it, but that was fine, as long as he followed orders. All right, I'm out. Same as before. Come inspect the place yourself each time. Yes, sir. I waited until I was well away from the little courtyard before reappearing, then biked home. The alley was pretty crowded. Director Chen's back. Director Chen, prices are still going up. Are they ever going to come back down? Yeah, if they keep climbing like this, we won't be able to put food on the table. I smiled. Everyone, just be smart about what you buy. Get what you need. No point stocking up on stuff you don't. Supplies are only going to get more abundant. As for the price hikes, those come from the top. No use asking me. I pushed my bike toward home. Zhang Dan saw me coming back and immediately ran inside to make tea. I stepped in and waved her off. Next time I'll make it myself. It's no trouble. Brother Zhang, let me cook for you. No need. Afu's got it. Go rest up. I'm not tired. Here, let me give you a shoulder rub. She came over and started kneading my shoulders. I couldn't help tilting my head back. Pretty soft. Then I caught myself. Just saying. Don't take it the wrong way. Zhang Dan blushed. It's fine. If you like it, you can lean on me. She gently pulled my head into her chest. Resting against that softness, I asked, have you ever gone to a hospital to check out that thing on your face? Zhang Dan shook her head. There's no cure for this. I'm used to it by now. There's got to be a way someday. It'd be such a shame for someone this pretty to be held back by it. I'm not pretty at all. But inside, she was beaming. I smiled. It's getting late. Head home. I'll call you next time I need a massage. Okay, I'll get going then. Life went on, uneventful as ever. Once a week, I'd visit Lung Yuaning and Qian Ling. The rest of the time, I stayed at the guest house or spent time with Lu Tong. After a while, all this peace started feeling dull. Check-in. Ding monthly check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you've received Jinx Spell, premium red wine recipe, with grape seedlings and 10 wisps of mana. A wave of memories flooded into my head. Once cast, the Jinx Spell would plague the target with bad luck for 3 days. Not bad. After absorbing the memories, I went into the farm to freshen up, then marked off a patch of land based on the wine recipe and planted it all with grapes, tweaking the environment to guarantee premium quality. After breakfast, I stretched out on the lounge chair in the courtyard. Hey Fu, what's the point of living like this every day? Any suggestions? The butler stood beside me. Boss, based on my analysis, things will stay pretty much the same for years to come. Plus, the streets aren't safe. There's bound to be a crackdown down the road. If you really can't stand the quiet, why not live overseas for a few years and come back once things settle down here? Overseas, huh? I lay there mulling it over. With my universal ID, leaving the country wouldn't be an issue. Zhang. I opened my eyes. Zhang Dan was here. I nodded with a smile. Hey, the place is all cleaned up. Come sit down and rest. Today she wore bell-bottoms, little leather shoes, and a fitted t-shirt that showed off her figure perfectly. Hard not to stare. The only thing marring the picture was that red patch on her face. Not going to work today, Zhang? Nope. Taking it easy at home. Afu smiled and headed back to the gatehouse, giving us space. Zhang Dan crouched down. Let me give you a massage. She started working on my legs. Catching a glimpse down her collar, I teased. I'm a young guy in my prime. Aren't you worried I might not hold back and eat you up? Her cheeks flushed. She lowered her head. Whatever you want. Bold of you. I reached out and pinched her cheek, my right hand brushing over the red patch. One day I'll find a way to get rid of this for you. Zhang Dan looked up at me. Okay, I trust you. As long as you don't mind it, that's enough. Once your face is fixed, I'll gobble you up. Her face went scarlet, her eyes brimming with love. She could tell, from start to finish, I'd never once looked down on her for that mark. Well, if you want to now, I can cover it up. Then it wouldn't be perfect. Let's wait a bit. Okay. She nodded happily and bent back down to keep massaging me. I sent my consciousness into the farm to search for anything that might cure it. Nothing turned up, so I dug through my memories for another approach. A few days later, in Du Yunfei's office. Shaoqin, there's an industrial expo in Hong Kong. Most of the major international suppliers will be there. The factory's application to attend has been approved, and you're on the list. I was a little surprised. I get to go too. Du Yunfei nodded. The factory is very pleased with your work lately. It's a good opportunity, and there's not much on your plate. 7 days total. The industrial side of things will be handled by others, so consider it a few days off. But watch yourself out there. Especially don't put the factory in a tough spot. I got what he meant. Technically, someone with no family ties like me wouldn't normally be recommended. Putting me on the list was a show of trust. If I didn't come back, the fallout would be huge. Director, I understand. Thank you for the factory's trust. I'll return on time. He clapped me on the shoulder. Good. We leave Monday. Deputy Director Fong will lead the group. We chatted a bit more. Then I headed back to the guest house and lit a cigarette. Hong Kong had plenty of my favorite starlets, Though it was still early days, most of them were probably still kids. A little trip could be fun. Good chance to recruit some people of my own too. He Jiao pushed the door open. Zheng, let me pour you some tea. Next week, I'm heading to Hong Kong with the factory for an industrial expo. Gone for a week. You and Xiao Ran will be in charge of the guest house. She got excited. Oh, I hear it's amazing over there. I wonder if it's really true. I pulled her into my arms. I'm the one going, not you. Why so worked up? Hee. I'm happy for you. Tell us all about it when you get back. Sure. I'll bring you girls presents. She wrapped her arms around me. Zheng, you're not going to skip out on us, are you? I gave her a light smack. You think I'm that kind of guy? Definitely not. Humph, doubting me? You need to be properly punished. I was wrong. I pressed her down on the desk. Realizing your mistake now? Too late. When the rolling mill posted the list of people going to Hong Kong, everyone who saw it was green with envy. Our group sat on the bus, staring wide-eyed at the towering skyscrapers outside. The streets were packed with private cars and buses. Hong Kong ladies in light summer outfits strolled along the sidewalks. Hard not to sneak a few extra glances. Both sides of the road were lined with mixed-use commercial and residential buildings. The exteriors looked worn, but the sheer prosperity of it all left us in awe. Fang Zheng gazed out the window. Hong Kong is one of the 4 Asian tigers. Its economy took off back in the 60s and 70s. We've still got a long way to catch up. I nodded. True, but I believe it won't be long before our country surpasses this place. Well said. Fang Zheng agreed heartily. As long as our people don't lose faith, we'll get there. Having lived 2 lifetimes, this was still my first time in Hong Kong, especially Hong Kong in this era. Looking at the billboards and high-rises everywhere, it felt almost like being back in a modern metropolis. The rolling mill sent 10 people total. We checked into an ordinary 3-star hotel in Central. Central is Hong Kong's administrative heart and also the safest district in the city. The moment I walked into the hotel lobby, I caught the flicker of contempt in the staff's eyes. It didn't sit well with me. Our whole group was decked out in crisp mouse suits, totally out of place next to Hong Kong's colorful, trendy fashion. One look, and you could tell we were from the mainland. But the way the staff looked at me was a little different. They kept sneaking glances and murmuring under their breath. That mainland guy is gorgeous. For real. That outfit doesn't look tacky on him at all. He's better looking than a movie star. Once we checked in, we all gathered in Fang Zheng's room. Everyone rest up today? Tomorrow we head to the expo. If you go out, do not go alone under any circumstances. Got it, director. We won't wander off. Most people, on their first visit, are curious but don't dare wander around. It's an instinctive caution. I went back to my room. The factory was pretty generous, giving each of us a single room. Unlike government officials, we didn't have anyone to host us. We were on our own. I walked over to the window to check out the street view when I suddenly heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find a decent-looking hotel attendant standing outside. In broken Mandarin, she said, "Sir, may I come in and show you how to use the room facilities?" I caught the flirty look in her eyes and smiled, letting her in. "Thanks for the trouble." "No trouble at all." She looked pleased. "Sir, my name's Sarah. You're totally different from the other mainland guys. Your Mandarin's pretty good. You from the mainland too?" "Nope. There are some mainland guys living near me. I picked it up from hearing them talk." "Sir, let me walk you through the bathroom setup." "Sure." I followed her into the bathroom. "Handsome, want me to give you a demonstration?" she said, already unbuttoning her top. The corner of my mouth curled up as I pinned her against the wall. "How about we demonstrate together?" "You're so bad." An hour later, with a flick of my mind, I activated my divine power, enslavement. A point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness. Enslavement successful. I sat on the couch and lit a cigar, then pulled out a few US bills and handed them to her. "Who's the most capable person at your hotel?" Sarah took the money, grinning. "The new assistant, Owen. He's pretty impressive. Studied abroad." "A foreigner?" "No, he's a Hong Kong local too. Manager's assistant, 25 this year. A lot of the girls here have a thing for him." I nodded. "Is he in tonight?" "Definitely not tonight. But if you want to meet him, I can bring him over." I took another drag on the cigar. "Tomorrow morning, after everyone else has left, bring him to my room. Don't let anyone know." "No problem." Watching her leave, I took another puff. Only people I'd enslaved could I truly trust. That night, I went to the restaurant with everyone for dinner. The moment we walked in, our mouse suits drew every pair of eyes in the place, and people started whispering. These mainlanders have no clue how to blend in. Bunch of clueless country bumpkins. I couldn't be bothered. I picked out some food I liked and found a seat. Fang Zheng sat across from me. "Tomorrow we're heading to the expo. If you don't want to come, just rest at the hotel or take a walk, but don't go too far. The public safety here isn't what it is back home." "Got it. First time here. I'm not about to go wandering off." Everyone's like that their first time. "After the expo, we've got 2 free days. You can come sightseeing with us then." Late that night, through my third eye, I saw everyone had gone to sleep. I activated shadow form and slipped out of the hotel. The street punks were kind of a novelty to see. Everything I knew about this place came from movies, and watching these little thugs squatting on street corners with their dragon and tiger tattoos, I almost laughed. Hey pretty boy, wanna have some fun? Get lost. Damn, so stuck up. Watch out you don't get F***ed up. I kept scanning with the detector as I casually looked around. Seeing a few of these punks acting way too cocky, I channeled my magic and cast Bad Luck Curse, a wisp of black energy only I could see wrapped around the three of them. So this is what bad luck looks like. It was my first time using it. Before long, a whole crew of punks had those three surrounded. Wild chicken, you had the balls to steal from the boss. You want to die? Brother dog, I swear we didn't take anything. Still denying it? Beat his ass. The bad luck curse worked that fast. Pretty handy. I spotted a taxi and hopped right in. I lost count of how many cabs I switched during the second half of the night, covering all of Central, but I still didn't find anything giving off energy. I'll check other districts tomorrow. Back at the hotel, I went into my farm space, took a shower, and crashed. The next day, I checked in. Ding, check-in successful. Congratulations, host, for obtaining 10,000 Hong Kong dollars and one wisp of magic powered. I stretched. That's it. I washed up, got dressed, and went down to eat. That morning, Owen was at his desk going over documents. When Sarah saw no one was around, she walked over. Assistant Owen, do you have a minute? Sure, what is it? Good news. Come with me for a sec. So mysterious. Owen stood up. At the door of the guest room, he glanced at it. This is one of those mainlanders' rooms. What did you bring me here for? Just come in first. Sarah ushered him inside. This is Owen. You two talk. I'll step out. Only then did Owen catch on, looking at me on the couch. What does this gentleman want with me? I held a glass of red wine. Come sit. He sat down and then froze. He'd just followed my instruction way too easily. The look in his eyes changed. I'm very busy. Please don't waste my time. I smiled. I hear you're capable. I want you to work for me. Work for you. He thought he'd misheard and shook his head with a laugh. Sir, you're not thinking of taking me back to the mainland, are you? He stood up. Excuse me. I took a sip of wine. 100,000 Hong Kong dollars a year in salary. His step faltered. He turned around. That joke isn't funny at all. Thud. A stack of US bills hit the table. His eyes sharpened. As far as I know, the mainland isn't this wealthy. Who exactly are you? Someone who can make you a man above men. He picked up the bills, checked they were real, and took a deep breath. What do you want me to do? Work for me. That's it. That's right. I took another sip of wine and waited for his decision. Seeing how composed I remained, he suspected I was the son of some big mainland family. His blood started running hot. In Hong Kong, without connections, getting ahead was nearly impossible. This might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Boss, I can quit anytime. I smiled with satisfaction and, with a flick of thought, activated divine power, enslavement. Another point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness. A few days later, a new company appeared in Hong Kong, Tianlong Trading Company. I walked down Temple Street in shadow form, vendors lining both sides. I'd been roaming different districts every night, but still hadn't come across anything with energy. Plenty of lowlifes, sure, but I hadn't touched them. If I'd come alone, I'd have sent them to their next life already. But this trip I was here with people from the factory, and I just wanted a safe round trip. Suddenly the spirit detector's red light started flashing. I was thrilled, finally a hit. Following the direction indicator, I walked up to a stall. An old man sat on a folding stool, a pile of old ancient tomes laid out in front of him. The complete Maoshan talismans, universal shifting technique, turning stone to gold. I was speechless. A gourd was tossed carelessly to the side, its skin pitch black. All the energy sources I'd found before were jade pieces. This was the first time I'd come across something like this. I studied it for a while, but couldn't figure out anything special about it, except that it looked pretty old. Nobody was paying attention, so with a flick of my mind, the gourd vanished, leaving a $100 bill pressed against the spot where it had been. The vendor rubbed his eyes, picked up the bill and examined it, then quickly stuffed it into his pocket. Could it have been an immortal passing by? I heard him mumbling to himself and chuckled, then continued deeper into the market. After making a full loop without finding anything else, I switched cars and headed back to the hotel. I'd been using Shadow Shift to get around these past few days, staying extra cautious. When I got back to my room, the hair I'd wedged in the door was still there. No one had been inside. I sat down and took out the gourd. Ding, high-level energy detected. Absorb. Huh, high level again. I popped open the gourd and tipped it over. Empty inside. Let's absorb it. The mysterious wheel appeared in my mind's eye. Start. After doing this a few times, I wasn't as excited anymore. I closed my eyes. A few minutes later, I took a deep breath. Stop. I opened my eyes and saw the needle sweep past gold and land on purple. I felt a rush of excitement. Jackpot. Ding, congratulations, host. You've drawn One spirit turtle hatchling, an eternal life form of the universe. Holy shit. I looked at the farm and saw a hideous little turtle the size of a baby's hand appear. With a thought, I stepped into the farm. Picking it up, I stared at it skeptically. This? It's ugly as hell. The patterns on its shell were a chaotic mess, no aesthetic value whatsoever. It looked at me with a dopey expression, its four little legs kicking wildly. Ding, the spirit turtle is the most mysterious eternal life form in the universe. Countless races have searched for one for eons without success. Immortal lifespan, but extremely easy to kill. I scratched my head. This ugly? If anyone saw it, they'd probably just slap it dead. System, does it really have an unlimited lifespan? Ding, correct. A contract can only be formed the moment it reaches maturity. Host must protect it well. Contract only at maturity? So when does it mature? Ding, the spirit turtle requires 10,000 years to reach maturity. As long as it has water, it can live indefinitely. 10 now. I wanted to slap the system across the face. You son of a bitch, do you know how long 10,000 years is? I don't even know if I'll live to see that day. Even with the farm's tenfold acceleration, that's still 1,000 years in the outside world. By the time it matures, I'll be long dead. I want a different reward. Even a spell would be better than this crap. I waited, but the system played dead again. I could only sigh in resignation. I set up a big fish tank inside the farmhouse, filled it with water, and dropped the spirit turtle inside. I also set up an automatic water refill command. Guess I better hope I live for 1,000 years. I left the farm and poured myself a glass of red wine. No more high-level regions for lotteries. All I get is useless junk. I downed it in one gulp. Thud. There was a figure collapsed behind the door. I set my glass down, went over, and opened it. A woman was slumped on the floor, reeking of alcohol. I helped her up and brushed aside her disheveled hair. My eyes lit up. Well, Bridget Lynn. She looked at me with drunken, hazy eyes and giggled. Hee, want a drink with me? I shut the door. Miss Lynn, are you sure you're in the right room? She stumbled toward the wine on the table. Don't all you men love it when a woman's drunk? She poured a glass and raised it. Cheers. She downed it and went to pour another. I walked over. You've had enough. No more. I want a drink. Keep me company, will you? She threw her arms around my neck and giggled foolishly. None of you men are any good. Say that again, and I might get upset. Hee, and what are you going to do about it? She even reached up and stroked my face. The corners of my mouth curled up. Seducing me now, huh? Don't blame me for what happens next. I pushed her onto the bed and pounced. She'd been one of my favorite actresses back in the day, especially her portrayal of Dongfang Booby, which left a deep impression on me. Never thought she'd deliver herself right to my door. Didn't consider this a little compensation from the system. Enjoy at your leisure. I paused. Damn, that's more like it. Then I went right back to business. Bridget Lynn frowned as she opened her eyes. She froze when she took in her surroundings, then shot up in bed. Lifting the covers and seeing herself naked, the memories of last night came flooding back. I was just walking in with breakfast. You're up. Her face turned ice cold. Get out. I set the breakfast on the table. This is my room. Where am I supposed to go? I was drunk last night. Let's pretend nothing happened, or I'll call the cops. Personally, I preferred your performance last night. I smirked and gripped her chin. You wouldn't want the media finding out, would you? Her face flushed with anger. What do you want? How about you keep me company for another day? She looked like she wanted to kill me. How can you be so shameless? I gave the mattress a few slaps. Talking back? Sounds like someone needs another lesson. She struggled. You bastard, I'll kill you. Still running your mouth? Guess I really do need to teach you properly today. I activated divine power, enslavement. Bridget Lynn nestled into my chest. You're terrible. You're lucky it was me. If someone else had picked you up drunk, you'd really be in trouble. Being picked up by you is just as bad. I lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. What happened last night? She shook her head. I was in a bad mood. Drank a little too much. No more drinking from now on. Okay. She realized her heart was already full of me. She hadn't really been angry earlier, either. She looked up at me. I still don't know your name. Qin Zheng. From the mainland. You're from the mainland? Yeah. I fly back the day after tomorrow. Came here with my company. Her face fell. When will you come back? Not sure. When I get the chance, I'll come find you on the mainland. Sure. Eat something first. It's your fault. I don't have any strength left. Carry me to the shower. No problem. That afternoon, Bridget Lynn left the hotel. I took a drag from my cigar and spoke to the system. This time you actually showed some sense. Otherwise, forget about me hunting energy for you anymore. Ding. Host, don't be ungrateful. Countless cosmic powerhouses would kill for a spirit turtle. You lucked into it. Pure dumb luck. I paused. This system seemed way smarter than before. It had never bantered with me like this in the past. So what you're saying is, you're more powerful than these cosmic powerhouses. Otherwise, where would you get all this stuff? Ding. I'm just a product of universal law. All rewards are randomly generated by the rules. Even I don't know what I'll get to. I started thinking it over. So the system wasn't created by some almighty being after all. It was a product of the rules themselves. So you're basically a supreme treasure? Ding. You could put it that way. Host, please work hard to gather more energy so I can grab more treasures for you. We'll see how I feel. I responded casually and dropped the conversation. The next day, I went with Fang Zheng and the others to check out the shopping mall. This time, everyone had ditched their mouse suits. Nobody had much Hong Kong currency, so they just picked out affordable gifts to bring back for family and friends. I had money, but I didn't go overboard either, just grabbed a few small, meaningful keepsakes. Fang Zheng smiled and asked me, "So what do you think of the malls over here?" I looked around and gave a little smile. "Free." He nodded. "Yeah, free. But compared to how the working class lives on this island, all this prosperity is honestly troubling. Economic development always widens the wealth gap. But if you want everyone to have enough to eat, you've got to go down this road. There's no other way." I shrugged and stayed quiet. In my head I added, "Not unless a savior shows up to provide for all of humanity." Re-eyeing, an alarm suddenly blared. Bang, bang. Gunshots followed right after. I grabbed Fang Zheng. "Get over there, quick." I waved the others behind me to duck behind a pillar. 3 men with backpacks, each gripping a Type 54 pistol. "Everybody get down." One of the robbers fired a shot into the ceiling. "Boss, cops are almost here. Let's bail." "Damn it. Come with me. We're taking out that big-mouth clerk. Nobody's gonna dare cross us again." A few security guards charged in with shotguns. "Freeze." Bang, bang, bang. The robbers opened fire without hesitation. Outside the mall, sirens started wailing. "Shit, fall back." I shielded the group and peeked out. The whole mall had already descended into chaos, people frantically shoving toward the exits. "Xiaoqin, what do we do?" "Take it easy. Running out there now is too dangerous. You'll get trampled." The words had barely left my mouth when I spotted the 3 armed men running straight toward us. "Boss, cops are everywhere outside. We can't get out. Grab hostages." Beads of sweat rolled down Fang Zheng's forehead. My eyes went cold. I hadn't planned to get involved, but these idiots were walking right into it. One of the robbers pointed his gun at us. "Tough luck for you. Get over here, on your knees." 3 throwing knives appeared in my hand in an instant. Fang Zheng's pupils shrank. "Xiaoqin." Whoosh. 3 knives flew as one, and I shot forward like an arrow off the string. AGH. All 3 robbers' gun hands jerked in pain at the same moment. Their weapons hit the floor, and only then did they see the knives buried in their hands. Thud, thud, thud. 3 kicks, and all 3 flew backward, blacking out before they even hit the ground. The whole crew from the steel mill stood there dumbstruck. Director Chen's a total badass. It was the first time any of them had seen me in action. They'd all assumed I'd just tagged along through connections, goofing off instead of working. Now they finally got it. I hadn't come along for fun. I was here to protect them. The other people who'd been hiding nearby were stunned too. Clap, 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 clap. Somebody started applauding, and then the whole crowd broke into excited cheers. That was incredible. So cool. A group of cops came charging up the stairs and saw the 3 unconscious men and the applauding crowd. "What happened here?" "Officer." This handsome fella took the robbers down in one move. The officer in charge holstered his gun. "Cuff him." Then he walked over to me. "Hello, I'm Ho Kaho, Senior Inspector with the Central Serious Crimes Unit. Thanks for stepping in." "Nice to meet you, Inspector Ho. I was just defending myself." Fang Zheng and the others crowded around. "Xiaoqin, thank God you were with us. Otherwise we would have been in real trouble." Ho Kaho caught on. "You folks are from the mainland?" Fang Zheng pulled out his credentials. "We're here for a trade expo." He nodded. "I'll need you to come back to the station to give a statement, if you don't mind." "Inspector, our Director Chen just helped you catch the robbers, and now you're taking him back with you? Doesn't seem quite right." Ho Kaho laughed. "Don't worry. Even taking down suspects has to go through the proper channels. Plus, I'm going to report this up the chain. There'll be a commendation for civic bravery." One of his subordinates came over with an update. "Boss, this guy's the real deal. All 3 suspects have 1 knife wound each in the hand. Every single one missed the arteries. No serious injuries. They just passed out from the pain." Ho Kaho gave me another look. "You mainland folks all this tough?" I chuckled. "Plenty of people way tougher than me." He gave me a thumbs up. Outside the mall, a swarm of reporters was already waiting. Flashbulbs went off non-stop, blinding everyone, though they didn't really affect me. "Inspector Ho, we heard it was a mainlander who took the robbers down. Is that true? There'll be a press conference at the station later. Please make way." Under police escort, we got into the car. Back at Central Police Station, word had spread that a kung fu master had shown up. Plenty of officers found excuses to swing by the Serious Crimes Unit for a peek. "Wow, he's gorgeous. Knows kung fu and he's hot. He'd make an amazing boyfriend." Ho Kaho led me into his office. Mr. Qin, we owe you big time. Otherwise, the jewelry store would have taken a huge hit. No problem. We're done here after this, right? Yes. I've already sent the report up. There'll definitely be a reward, and we'll issue a commendation notice to the mainland too. I couldn't care less about any of that. Thinking about his position, I sent out a mental command. Divine skill. Enslave. Activate. A point of light appeared in my sea of consciousness, and I got confirmation the enslavement had worked. I'd just been giving it a shot on a whim, didn't expect it to actually take. Hokaho's expression softened. I grabbed a pen, wrote down a number, and handed it to him. Call me if anything comes up. Keep it confidential. He tucked it away fast and jotted down a few numbers for me. This is my home line and my office. Fang Zheng and the others walked out of the station, still shaken thinking back on it. Thank God Xiao Qin was with us. We'd have been done for. Director Qin's throwing knives were unreal. Just a flash of cold light, and the robbers' guns hit the floor. I smiled. Everyone's had a scare today. Let's head back to the hotel. Fang Zheng clutched his chest. Yeah, let's go. My heart really can't take much more. That same day, the story of the mainland official taking down the robbers hit the papers. Knife-throwing hero foils 3-man jewelry store heist. Mainland Kung Fu master arrives in Hong Kong. Shala came running into the room with a newspaper. Boss, you're amazing. There's even a photo of you. I took it and glanced through. Their reach really is something. There are reporters swarming outside. If you step out, you'll be more popular than a movie star. I lit a cigarette. I'm heading back tomorrow. Once I'm gone, just quit and come work at the company. If you run into any trouble, you can look up Inspector Ho Ka-ho at the Central Police Station Serious Crimes Unit. Just tell him you're with me. He'll know what to do. Knock, knock, knock. I shot her a look. Boss, I'll get going. Fang Zheng came in and glanced around the room. I waved the newspaper in my hand. Today's incident made the news. That's exactly what I came to talk to you about. I just got a call from the Hong Kong liaison office. For safety reasons, we're switching to an early flight tomorrow morning. Sure, leaving a day early works for me. You've brought major glory to our steel mill this time. There's bound to be another reward waiting when we get back. I gave a helpless smile. I'd rather this had never happened. If someone had actually gotten hurt, there'd be no way to answer for it back home. That evening, I was drinking red wine in my room when I noticed someone standing at the door, so I went over to open it. Lin Qingxia had just raised her hand to knock. Seeing the door swing open, she stepped quickly inside. How did you know I was here? I did the math on my fingers. I flashed a mischievous grin, scooped her up, and carried her to the bed. I'm flying back first thing tomorrow morning. Wasn't it supposed to be the day after? She wrapped her arms around my neck. Then tonight, I'm really going to give you a workout. Huh, we'll see who taps out first. Before dawn, we boarded the bus arranged by the liaison office, with police escorts front and back. Zhao Siki, the director of the liaison office himself, came to see us off. Comrade Qin Zheng, single-handedly you've changed how the people of Hong Kong view the mainland. On behalf of Fang Zheng and the others had never expected a full ministerial-level director to show up in person. They watched me with envy written all over their faces. Director, I just did what needed to be done. Zhao Siki offered a few more words of praise. Then his expression turned serious. We've received intelligence through special channels. Certain organizations may make a move against you. The mainland is safe, but you still need to stay on high alert. Coming after me? I was curious. That's right. A lot of hostile forces haven't given up their designs on us, and people with special skills like yours have always been high on their target list. Someone will fill you in when you get back. I gave a cold laugh. They've got some nerve. Let those moles come. I'll kill every last one of them. Don't take this lightly. Those organizations have endless tricks up their sleeves. You have to stay vigilant at all times. Understood, Director. I agreed out loud, but inwardly, I was actually hoping more of them would come. It'd make the days ahead a lot less boring. The convoy reached the airport without incident. Safe travels. We shook hands with Zhao Siki and said our goodbyes. After boarding, I looked out the window. Only after takeoff did Fang Zheng and the others finally relax. They hadn't overheard that earlier conversation. Outside the Beijing airport, a crowd was waiting. The steel mill leadership had all come, along with several people in uniform. The moment I stepped off the plane and spotted Feng Chaohui and the others, I walked over. Fang Zheng stepped forward. Old Feng, you're all here. Huh. Comrade Qin Zheng won honor for our steel mill. How could we not come? Director Feng, enough with the praise. What matters is that everyone's safe. Du Yunfei clapped me on the shoulder, beaming. He'd originally just pulled a few strings to let me go abroad and see the world, never imagining it would bring him such a huge windfall. Since he'd vouched for me, he'd shared in the spotlight this time around. Little Qin, I really rode your coattails on this one. Director Du trusted me. I'm just glad I didn't embarrass you. Embarrass me? You made me look great. After the pleasantries, Feng Chaohui said, Comrade Qin Zheng, these comrades need to speak with you. We'll wait outside. All right. I'd already noticed those men in uniform. I just hadn't known who they were. I followed them into a small conference room at the airport. Let me introduce myself. I'm Luo Jinsong from the State Security Bureau, and these are my team members. We're here because of what happened in Hong Kong. There are numerous organizations overseas that specialize in hunting down. By the time he finished, I finally understood just how many undercurrents ran through this world. Zhao Siki had been vague earlier, but Luo Jinsong laid it all out. Captain Luo, I understand. I'll protect myself going forward. Comrade Qin Zheng, with your skills, you could join us. You'd be safer that way. I'm used to being my own boss. If I joined you and slipped up, it wouldn't be worth it. Things are fine as they are. Our department doesn't require regular office hours. We'd notify you when there's a special mission, and you'd have the option of whether or not to take part. This world is far less peaceful than it appears on the surface. Join us, and you'll see the world as it really is, and become stronger too. Something stirred in me. Could there really be special powers out there? Seeing me lost in thought, Luo Jinsong handed me a slip of paper. Think it over. Call this number anytime if you're interested. All right. If I change my mind, I'll definitely reach out. I rejoined Feng Chaohui and the others and took the bus back to the steel mill. Seeing the Welcome Home hero banner hanging over the entrance, my face got a little warm. Director, I'm hardly a hero. Of course you are. Without you, the mill would have suffered massive losses. You didn't just save Deputy Director Fong and the others. You saved the mill's key talent. You've earned it. Du Yunfei nodded. Old Feng's right. Little Qin deserves major credit this time. When we got off the bus, the women workers from the guest house and many others were outside to welcome us. Welcome home, Director Qin. He Jia and the others came forward with bouquets. Holding the flowers, I smiled and nodded, though there was a strange feeling stirring inside me. That same day, another commendation ceremony was held in the main hall. Feng Chaohui spoke with genuine emotion and even pulled out the newspaper to read aloud the article about my rescue. That evening, after the welcome banquet, I rode my bike home. I entered the farm space, took a shower, and saw the spirit turtle in the fish tank thriving. No need to feed it. One less thing to worry about. Once I stepped out of the farm, I lit a cigarette. Afyu, how have things been at home? All good. Zhangdan comes by every day to tidy up. The folks in the hutong knew you were away on business, so no one came around. Good. I took a deep drag. I want you to head over to the antique street shop and keep Lu Tong safe. I handed him the spirit detector as I spoke. I didn't go over there often, and having Afyu guard the house all day was a waste. Stationed at the shop, he might even come across something with energy in it. Lu Tong was bored by herself anyway, so I figured she might as well move into the second floor of the shop. With Afyu watching over her, nothing could go wrong. Understood, boss. If I come across anything you're looking for, I'll get my hands on it. I took out several tens of thousands of yuan and some supplies. Buy things quietly. If you can't get something, let me know right away. The key thing is not to draw attention. Got it. Afyu tucked everything into his own space, turned, and walked out. I looked out the window. Coming back from bustling Hong Kong, I really did feel a bit out of place. The night passed uneventfully. Early the next morning, I did my usual check-in. Ding. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, on receiving 10 spirit restoration pills and a wisp of mana. I sat up and took out one of the pills, snow white all over, no bigger than a fingertip, giving off a fresh fragrance. This spirit restoration pill could instantly restore all of my mana the moment it went down. Good stuff. I hadn't expected to land a treasure like this. Right now, once my mana ran out, I had to wait until the next day's check-in to refill it, and I didn't even know if I'd get more every day. I stepped into the farm space to freshen up. Zhang Dan had already tidied up the house, and the moment she saw me back, she came trotting over happily. Zhengji, you're back. I smiled and pointed at the gift beside me. Brought this for you. She looked a little bashful as she carefully took out the crystal bottle of perfume and gave it a sniff. It smells amazing. Thank you, Zhengji. As long as you like it. I'm heading to work now. Lu Tong perked up when she heard me. Zhengji, can I go stay at the shop? I gave her nose a light pinch. Of course. Afu will be running the shop from now on. You'll live upstairs. Go to him if anything comes up. Come to think of it, Lu Tong's dad Lu Hai was a real loner. He didn't even come home for the holidays. Her little brother was either at school or over at their grandma's place. Ever since her mom passed, her mom's side of the family had no use for their son-in-law, and that carried over to Lu Tong too. Plain and simple, they favored sons over daughters, all their attention on that grandson who'd made it into college. I never brought this up with Lu Tong. She probably knew, she just didn't want to talk about it. When we got to the shop, Afu greeted us respectfully. Boss, ma'am. Lu Tong's face went red. Just call me by my name. But I said with a smile, keep calling her that. Her heart leapt, and she couldn't hide her grin. Afu set down the luggage and came back downstairs to report. Boss, I combed the area last night. Didn't find what you're looking for. No rush. Take your time. I had a few cups of tea, told Lu Tong I'd come back for dinner, and headed out to take care of business. When I got to the Xiangyang guest house, Lung Yuning threw herself into my arms the second she saw me. I heard you ran into robbers. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Guys like that were no match for me. I gave her a kiss and set the gift on the table. She opened it to find lipstick and cosmetics, and her eyes lit up. She hooked her arm through mine. You'd better make it up to me properly. Let's start right now. Undercurrents had been stirring outside lately. Even the Capital Security Bureau had gotten wind of it and started tracking down unusual signal sources. My case had become their opening to crack down on spies. Foreign powers were bound to pass word along. But none of that had anything to do with me. I'd been busy for a few days since getting back, spent some time with Qian Ling and the others, and then things settled back into their usual rhythm. Over in Hong Kong, at the port warehouse of my Tianlong trading company, Owen watched the workers hauling out grain, oil, and meat, then stepped into the inner warehouse himself and shut the door before calling me. Boss, I'm inside the warehouse. With a flick of my consciousness, I entered the farm storehouse. Piles of pre-packaged grain vanished in an instant, teleported over via the anchor points. Owen watched the food and vegetables appear out of thin air, his eyes filled with shock. Even after seeing it a few times, it still floored him. As for spilling the secret, that thought never even crossed his mind. Boss, that's enough. I'll be in touch once it's all handled. All right, get the overseas company set up as soon as you can. The import-export paperwork needs to be airtight. Don't worry about the tax money. Understood. I hung up and took a sip of tea. The farm space kept growing, and production would only ramp up. Perfect timing to move it through overseas channels. As for putting product into the domestic market, I had no intention of that for now. I didn't want my sudden involvement to alter the course of history's natural development. That wouldn't be a good thing. The phone rang again. It was Qian Ling. That leech is back again. I laughed. Isn't he afraid of another sudden fit sending him running out into the streets? Those madness pills only lasted 7 days. I'd been keeping an eye on several households during that time, and so far none of them had gone near the vault. Lulan knocked and came in with papers for me to sign. I asked casually, how's Xiaowan doing at school? Doing great. Good. I heard there are a lot of foreign students there. Make sure she doesn't get sweet-talked into going abroad. Lulan laughed. She mentioned that when she came home. Said those people give off a strong smell, so she always steers clear of them. They just happen to be a little better looking. A lot of them have body odor. Can't compare to our own people. I tossed the documents aside and pulled her into my arms. I was cycling around the streets, watching the crowds lining up to snatch up goods, and I couldn't help feeling a bit helpless. The scarcer things got, the more people rushed to grab them. The more they grabbed, the scarcer things got. It would be years before this situation changed. I got to Antique Street and parked my bike right at the shop door before heading in. Lu Tong stood up happily, and A Fu greeted me respectfully. I put my arm around Lu Tong, and we headed upstairs, sitting down at the tea table while she started brewing tea. Anything new the past few days? A couple days back, someone brought an item to the state-run store to sell. They offered him 10 yuan. The seller had barely stepped out the door before someone bought it off him for 100. Word got around, and now the state store basically has no business. She poured me a cup. Honestly, it was always kind of like this before, but this time a lot of people saw it happen, and the price difference was 10 times over. Everyone's got a beef with the state store now. I took a sip. That's a pretty embarrassing slap in the face. Nobody called security. They did, but the guy was long gone by then. Nobody claimed to know him, so security couldn't do anything. She went on. A Fu says some of the stalls lately have been putting out freshly unearthed pieces. Has to be grave robbers active again. Grave robbers, Tafuzi, as they called them. They'd been lying low, not just because of the crackdowns, but because antiques weren't worth much either. When people can't even feed themselves, who's buying antiques? Now that prices had climbed and the trade was picking back up, these guys were naturally crawling out of the woodwork. They'd be running wild for decades to come. In some remote mountain villages, entire towns would end up in on it. I was sipping my tea when I noticed a middle-aged man on the street and gave him a second look. He had a layer of dark energy about him, exactly like the misfortune I cast on people. Lu Tong followed my gaze. That guy does the same work as my dad. Middleman deals on the street. The two of them used to team up sometimes. I nodded. This guy's about to have some bad luck. Bad luck? Like getting beat up by a client? She asked curiously. Being a middleman, you dealt with all kinds. Getting roughed up wasn't unusual. I set down my cup and smiled. This guy's got misfortune wrapped all around him. His heavenly granary and earthly vault are darkened. He's got a lawsuit coming. Without that misfortune, it might not have amounted to much. Now, though, hard to say. Lu Tong looked surprised. Zhengji, you can see misfortune too? First time today. The words were barely out of my mouth when another middle-aged man stepped out of a rickshaw. This one with even thicker misfortune clinging to him. One look and I knew he was bad news. Since that was the case, I might as well help him along. I formed a hand seal and cast the misfortune technique. The moment he got off the rickshaw, he struck up a conversation with the first guy, and the two of them climbed into a rickshaw together and left. No sooner had they gone than plainclothes officers on the street tailed after them. Lu Tong clapped a hand over her mouth. Oh, those men are following them. I laughed. The guy who just got out of the rickshaw is in serious trouble. Now both of them are going down together. With that, I drained my tea in one gulp and pulled Lu Tong toward the bedroom. Enough about them. I haven't seen you in days. Let me give you a thorough inspection. I've been a good girl. What's there to inspect? I grinned wickedly and tackled her onto the bed. Outside a courtyard house on Hohai Street, two rickshaws pulled to a stop. This is the place. Go on in. Zhang Xiaozue sized it up and stepped through the gate. A woman came out to greet them. Zhang Xiaozue smiled and asked, "Nice place. How much are you asking?" 20,000. 20,000? Zhang Xiaozue froze. Not because it was too much, but because it was way too cheap. He glanced around and lowered his voice. There's something wrong with this house, isn't there? You've got the wrong idea. My husband and I are going overseas to join family, and we want to sell fast. Ask anyone you like. The place is clean. Zhang Xiaozue breathed a sigh of relief. Easy enough, then. I'll go line up a buyer right now. 3 days tops. I'll bring someone by to see it. Wonderful, wonderful. The words had barely left his mouth when a group of men burst through the gate. Everybody down on the ground. The next day, while Lu Tong was out buying groceries, she overheard people talking. Zhang Xiaozue got picked up. Yesterday afternoon, a whole crew stormed his house and cleaned him out. What did he do? Heard it was that department that raided him. Everyone around instantly clammed up. Lu Tong remembered what I'd said the day before, finished her shopping, and turned right around to head home. Deputy Logistics Director Sun Lang sat in my office. Director, more folks have been coming around lately trying to negotiate supply deals. But your reputation gets around. They're all a lot more restrained now, real polite. I looked over the monthly report. Ever since I beat up Wang Xiaoqiang before the new year, plenty of people had been waiting to see his father Wang Weian come after me. Instead, no trouble came, and after the holiday, the whole family got hauled in by the authorities, which put the fear of God into another batch of them. The upper brass knew the real story. The little guys didn't get it and just figured I played dirty. Beat the guy up, made him pay damages, and still got him locked away. My reputation as the untouchable logistics director at the steel mill was cemented, and everyone gave me a wide berth. Otherwise, they'd lose money, get sent to labor camp, and maybe even eat a bullet. I put down the report. If the price is right, do the deal. Just keep monthly costs under control. Sun Lang nodded. I took a sip of tea and added, I'm planning to resign at year-end. I'll do what I can to have you take over my position. Resign? He was taken aback. Director, everyone thinks you've got a bright future ahead. Why quit all of a sudden? I looked bored. One less title, one less set of strings attached. That's a real shame. Why don't you think it over some more? There's still over half a year. We'll decide when the time comes. You really should think it through. With your abilities, you'd have way more room to move if you went the government route. I waved him off. Beat it, you're giving me a headache. Yeah, all right, I'll head out. You give it some serious thought. The moment he left, the phone in my head started ringing. I transferred another big batch of supplies over to Owen's side. That 10-to-1 time ratio was seriously overpowered right now. A lot of the crops could be harvested in under a month, so even if the Hong Kong operation scaled up several times over, I could still keep it supplied. Xiao Ran came in to tidy up. Zhengji, our guest house isn't handing out treasury bonds this month, is it? Of course we are. Huh? We get them too. Her little face scrunched up. 10 yuan in treasury bonds each, as a bonus. Her frown flipped into a grin. I knew Zhengji was the best. I'll go tell everyone right now. I took a sip of tea. A few years down the road, cashing in treasury bonds would make a fortune for a whole crop of people. When the time came, I'd have my crew handle it. Free money, why not? A group of young men were squatting outside the steel mill. Damn it, they promised us jobs. How long's it been and still nothing? They're just walking all over us because we've got no connections. We should go file a complaint with the authorities. Complain to who exactly? Then what do? Just sit around waiting. Standing by the roadside was a haggard-looking woman holding a little girl by the hand. Mama, I'm hungry. The woman almost broke into tears. Mom'll buy Yaya something to eat in a bit. The little girl nodded obediently. The woman saw me riding out on my bike, and her eyes lit up for a split second before dimming. She turned away with her daughter in her arms, trying not to let me see her. I noticed that familiar back and stopped. I thought for a moment, but couldn't place her, and was about to move on when she glanced back, and it hit me instantly. Shen Lihua. It was her, one of the female sent-down youths who'd been with Feng Ning back when I was in the mountains. The one who'd also given me her first time. You've got the wrong person. She didn't want me to see how far she'd fallen. Besides, she'd aged, while I still looked so young. I frowned and looked her over, sensing what was going on in her head. I wheeled my bike over toward her. Her face was gaunt and worn, her hands covered in calluses. The little girl in her arms was looking up at me curiously. I understood in my heart, but I kept a joking smile on my face. It's only been a few years, and now you're pretending not to know me? Shen Lihua's eyes welled up. She wiped at them quickly. No, I smiled and pinched her daughter's little cheek. Is this your daughter? Yes. Yaya, say hello to Uncle Chin. Hi, Uncle Chin. I pulled out a handful of white rabbit candies. Yaya's such a good girl. Uncle's got some candy for you. The little girl's eyes lit up. She stuck her finger in her mouth and looked up at her mom. Shen Lihua smiled and nodded. What do you say to Uncle? Thank you, Uncle Chin. Yaya reached for the candy, but her hands were too small to hold it all. Laughing, I tucked the pieces into her pocket for her. Mama, you have some too. She dutifully unwrapped a piece and handed it to her mother first. Mama doesn't want any. Yaya, you eat it. The little girl licked the candy and said, once I eat candy, I won't be hungry anymore. Shen Lihua fought hard to hold back her tears. I pretended not to notice and asked with a smile, you here to see someone? I came to see a neighbor from my old compound. I know this area well. It's been a while. Let's grab a bite and catch up. No need. I'll head home once I find them. I could see how uncomfortable she was. I set down my bike and gestured toward a nearby alley. Let's talk over there. There were plenty of people watching, and it was awkward here. Shen Lihua didn't refuse this time and followed with her daughter in her arms. I lit a cigarette and looked at how stiffly she was standing. You running into some kind of trouble? Her tears broke loose all at once. She wiped them away and shook her head. It's nothing. I pulled an envelope out of my bag. Put this in your pocket. Tears streamed down her face. She wanted to refuse, but thinking of how things were at home, she just couldn't get the words out. Thank you. I'll pay you back, I promise. I waved it off. Pay me back for what? If you're ever in trouble, just come find me. At those words, memories of their time together came flooding back, and she couldn't hold it in any longer. She broke down crying. Yaya saw her mom crying and used her little hands to wipe away the tears. I sighed and handed her a tissue without offering any words of comfort. It was clear she'd been holding it in for far too long. A few years back on that mountain, she'd been a bright, beautiful young woman. Now she was worn down to this. She wiped her tears and started telling me what had happened to her. After returning to the city, she'd been set up on a blind date and gotten married. Her husband worked at the warehouse of a motor factory, and life had been okay at first. But then he and some co-workers started stealing and reselling stuff from the warehouse. When it all blew up, he got arrested. With the household income gone and a criminal case attached to the family, she couldn't take over his position at the factory either, and the factory took back their housing. Her parents cut ties with her, and her in-laws called her and her daughter jinxes and wanted nothing to do with them. If the neighborhood committee hadn't found them a place to stay, they'd have been out on the street. I took a deep drag on my cigarette and said, go home today and pack up. Tomorrow, report to the guest house at the steel mill. Once you're on the payroll, I'll have someone take you to enroll Yaya in the factory kindergarten. She looked at me in disbelief. I can really work at the guest house. If I say you can, you can. Just show up tomorrow. I'll take care of everything. Qinzheng, thank you. She reached out excitedly, then pulled her hand back. Don't read too much into it. Take Yaya to get something to eat. I'm heading out. I tossed the cigarette butt and got on my bike. Get home safe. She held her daughter tight and watched me ride away. As I pedaled, I couldn't help thinking back a few years. She'd been so full of life back then. Only 27, right at the age when a woman is at her most captivating. Now life had beaten her down like this. It didn't sit right with me. When I got home, I called the office and got her job squared away. Zhang Dan set a cup of tea in front of me. What's wrong, Zhang? Nothing. Just ran into an old friend today. She's had a rough few years. She sat down beside me. Now that she's run into you, things are bound to turn around. I stroked her cheek. That mouth of yours is getting sweeter by the day. She nestled into my arms obediently, like a little kitten. Looking at the red patch on her face, I couldn't resist channeling some of my power to see if it would do anything. She felt a warm, soothing energy wrap around her face and was so startled she nearly sat up. Don't move. My eyes lit up. The red mark on her face was starting to fade. But when I kept channeling, nothing more happened. My guess was I could only heal it a little each day. What is it, Zhang? See for yourself. I handed her the mirror. She looked and her expression turned to disbelief. The color's lighter. Yeah, I got the sudden urge to try, and it actually worked. I'll treat you once a day from now on. Might clear up pretty fast. Staring at her reflection, she couldn't hold back her tears. She'd fantasized about that birthmark disappearing more times than she could count, and now it was actually happening. She set down the mirror and threw herself into my arms. Thank you, Zhang. It's not all gone yet. If it stops working later, don't hold it against me. She shook her head. Never. Meanwhile, Shen Lihua took her daughter into a small restaurant, ordered a plate of braised pork and 2 bowls of rice, and watched her daughter eat with heartache in her eyes. But a peace of mind she hadn't felt in ages. The envelope held 300 yuan and a stack of ration coupons. She'd been shocked when she first saw it. Later she asked around at the stalls outside the steel mill and learned that I was now the head of logistics and director of the guest house. That's when she finally let herself relax. "Mommy, I'm so full." She dabbed at the corner of her eye and carefully packed the leftover pork and rice into a lunchbox. "Mommy will heat this up for you tonight." "Okay." The braised pork smelled so good. Yaya hasn't had it in forever. "From now on, Mommy will make it for you often." They went back to their place, a tiny gatehouse room in a courtyard compound, only a few square meters. Aside from a bed and a small wooden table, there was nothing else in the room. Officer Wang from the neighborhood committee came by. "Shen Lihua, are you in?" "I'm here. These are the divorce papers." The committee got everything processed. "Hold on to them." She took them, and a complicated feeling washed over her. Her husband's crime was serious. He was set to be executed next month. He didn't want the child to grow up carrying the stigma, so he'd initiated the divorce himself. "Thank you, Officer Wang. This is about all the committee can do for you." "I understand." "Oh, and I found a job. I start tomorrow. Once things settle, I'll find a new place." "Good that you found work. Don't rush about the housing. Stay put and wait until you get your first paycheck." Early the next morning, I signed in. Ding, sign-in successful. "Congratulations, host. You have received Spirit Restoration Pills times 10, Spiritual Power times 1 Wisp. Another bottle. That made 3 now." I was pleased. After washing up and eating breakfast, I left food out for Big Wang and Little Wang, then biked over to work. He Jia and the others took Shen Lihua under their wing, helped her drop her daughter off at the factory kindergarten, got her settled, and brought her to the office together. "You'll be working with us from now on. Just ask if there's anything you don't understand." Xiao Ren asked curiously. "Lihua, how do you and Zheng know each other?" "A few years back, I was a sent-down youth working at a forestry station. Qin Zheng lived not far from our outpost. That's how we met." He Jia nodded. "So that's how?" "I was sent down to the village next to Zheng's. Guess we were all pretty close by." "Really? Is that how you two met too?" He Jia smiled. I came upstairs and saw them all there. Everything's arranged." Shen Lihua stood up and nodded gratefully. "Lihua, come with me for a sec. You all carry on." She followed me into the office next door. "Qin Zheng, thank you. If it weren't for you, my daughter and I really wouldn't have made it." She took out the envelope. "This is too much. I kept 20 yuan. I'll pay you back once I get my paycheck." I waved her off. "It's yours. Keep it. With our history, talking about paying it back is too formal." She tugged at the hem of her shirt. "Meeting you was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. Back on the mountain, if you hadn't been there to keep me company, I probably would have lost my mind. You've had it hard these past few years. Don't worry, things will get better bit by bit." I reached out and gently touched her worn face. If you don't mind me being like this, you can have me now." Her cheeks turned red. I gave her a light pat. "Don't get ahead of yourself. Go get to work." "Okay." After that, I treated Zhang Dan once every day. A week went by, and all that remained on her face was a red spot about the size of a fingernail. "That last bit won't come off for now. But honestly, it looks kind of cute." She looked in the mirror happily. "It's more than good enough already." Then she turned to me. "Shouldn't you be eating me up by now?" "Wow, someone's eager." She flushed deep red and buried herself in my arms, playing coy. "That's not it." "Ah, well, this is one request I've got to grant." I scooped her up and headed straight for the bedroom. Meanwhile, Shen Lihua rented a place near the steel mill, and he Jia and Xiao Ran went along to help her move. Seeing the barebones furniture in the little gatehouse, both of them felt a pang. "Lihua, this is really sparse." There wasn't much I could do at the time. Just having a roof over our heads was enough for me. Yaya was over the moon. "Mommy, come on, let's take our stuff to the new place." They didn't have much, just 2 small bundles. While packing, Shen Lihua spotted the jade pipe wrapped inside the clothes and carefully tucked it away. "All right, let's go." I lit a cigarette. Zhang Dan leaned against me, looking a little worried. "People say a white tiger brings bad luck. If it bothers you, I'll come clean the house when you're not home." "Why would it bother me? I love it." I gave her a kiss. "Don't think that way anymore." She nodded happily. "From now on, I'll do whatever you say." "That's more like it." I hadn't expected her to be gifted too. That unique physical sensation, so different from anyone else's, kept lingering in my mind. Meanwhile, in an overseas villa, a group of masked figures sat around a conference room. At the head of the table, a blonde, blue-eyed middle-aged man spoke up. "The new assassination list is finalized. Take your pick." The masked figures flipped through the files. "There are actually targets inside Dragon Nation? Are the higher-ups sending in troops?" Everyone shook their heads. In recent years, every operative sent to Dragon Nation had come back a failure, if they came back at all. Nobody wanted those targets anymore. The other targets were quickly claimed. Only Dragon Nations remained. The middle-aged man took a puff of his cigar. The higher-ups have decided. Whoever completes the Dragon Nation mission will be rewarded with an energy crystal. At the words, energy crystal, the room fell dead silent. A masked figure at the end of the table spoke up. I'll give it a shot. The others looked at him and shook their heads. Good luck. In the Shadow Base's main hall, the masked leader announced the target. One member pulled an exaggerated face. God, is today April Fool's Day? Phil, quit spreading your nonsense. Dragon Nation isn't some den of tigers. Fine, I know I'm not strong enough. I won't compete with you all. The leader cut in bluntly. Phil, you're from Dragon Nation. This one's on you. He shrugged. But I've been gone a long time. I don't have any family left there. I'd be flagged for inspection instantly. Don't worry. You'll go back as an overseas Chinese. Just buy the others a few days. Complete the mission and the credit is all yours. In that case, no problem. Everyone go prepare. We start setting things up in 3 days. Phil returned to his place and hurried into the bathroom. He lifted a floor tile to reveal a palm-sized device hidden underneath. Turning the faucet on full blast, he used the rushing water to mask the beep-beep of the device. Bam! The bathroom door was kicked open. The leader stood outside with his men. Meanwhile, in a conference room of Dragon Nation's special department, we just got word. The Overseas Shadow Organization has taken a contract on Comrade Xinjiang. Only half the intel came through. Our inside man is likely dead. Luo Jinsong slammed his fist on the table. Those bastards. Now's not the time for anger. We don't know what identities they'll use to slip in. Wiping every one of them out is the only real comfort we can give our fallen comrades. I walked into the guest house office with a smile on my face. Shen Lihua came in to make tea. I moved into my new place yesterday. It's close to work. The commute is so much easier now. That's good. Just let me know if you need any help. She set the tea down and pulled something wrapped in cloth out of her pocket. This was left behind by Yaya's father. He said it might be an antique. I don't know anything about it, but it looks pretty. It's for you. I opened it up, a jade pipe. Ding, special energy detected. Absorb. Hearing the voice in my head, I felt a rush of excitement. I turned it over in my hands and nodded with a smile. I really like it. Thank you. Seeing me accept it, she looked at me happily. As long as you like it, I'll get back to work. Go on. And don't be stingy with those skincare products I gave you. I use them all the time. The calluses on my hands are even fading. She held up her hand to show me. I took a look and pinched her cheek. Go on. She turned and walked out, beaming. Lately, life had felt like a dream to her. She'd thought her world would be nothing but darkness. But the man she'd secretly held in her heart had appeared, like a prince from a fairy tale, and pulled her out of it. I took out the pipe and studied it. It felt good in my hand. Absorb. The pipe vanished, and a massive wheel appeared in my mind. Start. I stayed calm. High-tier zones didn't always mean good rewards. Wherever it landed was fine by me. I lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. Stop. The pointer slowly came to rest on the white zone. Ding, congratulations, host. You've drawn the Apocalypse World Special Talent. Danger Sense. A surge of energy poured into my mind. Danger Sense could automatically detect any hostility or threat within a 500-meter radius. My eyes lit up. Now that's a good one. Guess you really can't judge by tier alone. White was the lowest tier, but this ability was ridiculously useful for me. Even better than Spirit Turtle. What good was a long lifespan if you were already dead? Just then, a wave of hostility flared up in my mind. My eyes went cold. I stood up and walked out of the office, following the guidance in my head toward the guest room department. Along the way, people greeted me, and I responded with a smile. Passing by a guest room, I saw a maid cleaning inside. When she saw me, she flashed a sweet smile. Good morning, Director. I kept my gentle smile in place. Just taking a walk. Carry on. Once I was clear, I dropped the smile. Making sure no one was around, I activated Shadow Meld and vanished. I hid inside her shadow and watched. The maid peeked out to confirm I was gone, and her sweet smile instantly disappeared. Acting all high and mighty. Once I get someone to spill on you, you're done. I stroked my chin, mulling this woman over. I couldn't remember having any beef with her at all, but she was clearly out to get me. I left the guest room, found a spot to reappear, and strolled back toward the office building. My mind was completely on her. Something came up. I'm heading out. Keep an eye on things. Hijia nodded. Sure. Stay safe out there. Don't worry. I smiled, went back to my room to grab a bag, rode off on my bike, found a secluded spot, and activated Shadow Meld again. I slipped back to the guest house and slid into Chun-Li's shadow. I needed to find out whether this was a personal grudge or if her whole family was after me. After work, Chun-Li rode off with her co-workers, chatting and laughing. Every other sentence was praise about me. When she got home to the courtyard tenement, neighbors greeted her and asked whether the guest house had handed out the government bonds yet. She answered each one, then walked through her door and called out, "I'm home." The person who opened the door called her sister-in-law, and everything clicked. It was Wang Ming, Lu Chunyan's suitor. Chun-Li warmly offered to stew some meat for him, telling her husband Wang Chong to go buy a roast chicken so the brothers could have a drink together. Wang Ming grinned. "I already brought some with me. Sis, how's the guest house been lately?" Chun-Li washed her hands. "Pretty good, though I haven't heard anything bad about Qin Zheng. That guy's definitely hiding something. The guest house is full of pretty women. You think he can resist sneaking a taste?" Wang Chong chimed in from the side. "You two don't even have any dealings with him. Why are you so fixated on him?" Chun-Li's face went stern. "If he's not a good man, I'll report him for sure. Otherwise, how could you feel comfortable with me working there?" Wang Ming echoed her. "Sis is right.